and we go live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. You guys don't get my intro music, even though I'm not playing anything. Hold on, we're working on it. Let's put this window back over to the monitor and hit play. It's the monitor that I monitor things from, and then there's this one that I monitor OBS from, and then there's this one that I work from. 3 monitors. The calipers are a hand-me-down from my brother. He's a perfectionist machinist, and so they didn't work well enough for him. They're way better than the old NSK ones, which have been dropped too many times. Yeah, and I've actually had a pair of Mitus fail on me. They're my typical go-to because I am not a super perfectionist machinist, but I do really like to get, he would try to dive in and he would bounce. That's what would happen. Anyway, first time chat. I'm not a super duper perfectionist with the calipers. We used to use these plastic digital ones that were not good. It is nice when you're doing things like 3D printing to have a really good sort of baseline reliability on your measurements. And so having something like a pair of Mitutoyos, it's $150. How much did your 3D printer cost? You need to back it up with something that's going to measure the real world nicely. That's my opinion on Mitutoyos. I like Mitutoyos a lot because they are cheap for being like one of the better calipers that you can buy. You can buy better calipers. You can buy much, much better calipers, but this is a pretty good size for everything. So when I stream on YouTube, I get 0 views. Got to follow you on there. Didn't know you had YouTube. Yeah, we also stream to YouTube, and I get 4 viewers. Haha! I'm far greater and more popular than you. Yeah. I feel like I see better numbers on Twitch when I also co-stream to YouTube, though. Like if I go live on both simultaneously, I get more Twitch viewers. I don't know what that correlation is. But yeah. But I do all that work for that thumbnail. I do all that work that you just saw for the thumbnail for YouTube for nothing, because YouTube should be this amazing promotional engine if I were doing published content. If I did publish content and I regularly published it, something that is just anathema to the ADHD brain, then I could potentially get the fanfare and the momentum and all that stuff building up, and then I inevitably whiff it and just fall over and everything falls apart. But for a while there, I was doing daily 5-hour uploads of my archive, and that got me a little bit of momentum, but people just don't see the streaming stuff at all. And I don't want to do those previews where it says, hey, I'm going to go live soon on YouTube, and it's, I don't like that. So it's likely that I'm popping in sort of, if people are just looking at their feeds, I would be popping in at like a lower spot than up front. People prefer Twitch, but CUR on from YouTube. Yeah, that's the best that I could. That's the best that I could come up with. Whoa. We had a sub. Sorry. That would be Miguel Oz. Resubscribed for 67 months. You get those sponsor dollars. I wish. No, they're not paying me. If I were to advertise Fusion 360 on any higher of a level, Fusion, Autodesk Fusion, they don't call it 360 anymore, at any higher of a level than I am already, there would be paychecks in the mail, but there are not. All they do is allow me to use their software for free, and I get some features out of that, which are, they're worth it. They're worth some money. I would love to be in a situation where I could just buy the software on my own, but this works out just because I use it all the time. Oh yeah, if you're troubleshooting your ESP32 Halloween decoration, and you want to tell somebody the story about it, check out my Discord, where we have an electronics troubleshooting section. 67 months, that's longer than most marriages. That's reflective on me for streaming for so long. I have been on this platform for nigh on 8 to 9 years now. I partnered in 2016. Oh my God. No, wait, 2019, wasn't it? It was 2019. I think it was December of 2019. Yeah, that's we've been doing this for a long time, and I haven't gotten a lot done. Let me be serious with you guys. I have not gotten a lot done, and it's starting to really worry me. We've kind of stumbled on some parts of this project, and typically I will blow through that kind of thing on here. Like, I don't understand what I'm doing. Somebody comes along, they helps me out, or I sit down and I hunker down and I research stuff. in order to get better at it, or I do the work, which would be what happened with the Bluetooth thing, is I just did the work in order to get everything up and running. And we did a lot of the work on stream. But in this case, bleh, I haven't done that. I've been doing that lately. I've been sort of hunkering down and doing the work. So in this stream today, we are doing that with Fusion 360. Yeah, this is the life cycle of a project in general. There are things that will stumble you. You will falter, and you will become discouraged. And then even the slightest of delay, or ways that you can sort of offload the pressure from yourself, you'll take those avenues and justify them. And that's kind of where I am. So we're going to getting out of that. There's, I've done a lot of personal health stuff, haircut, beard trim, regularly bathing, going to the dentist and getting my teeth examined for the first time since I partnered with Twitch. They were like, we'll see you in 6 months. I'm like, oh God, let's keep those going so that I don't have this experience again. They used a sonic pick on my gums, and she was like, thank you for letting me be so thorough. Oh my God, that was the most torturous fucking thing. And like, I'm a diabetic. I'm not unfamiliar with uncomfortable procedures, right? I had a thing where I'd get my retina injected with stuff. Getting an injection on the eyeball is incredibly uncomfortable. What they did to my teeth the other day, I would not wish on my worst enemy. That sonic pick, while effective and better than her just like scraping at my gums, it probably saved me a lot of discomfort in the end. But in the moment, I was like, yeah, I can take it. I'm fine. And I had just like tears in the corner of my eyes, because it's like a mid-level discomfort, but like on a minor degree. Right? It's like having a microphone feedback inside of your head. It's worse than that though, because there's a lot of like little pinches that come along with it too. Oh, it's totally awful. My teeth are like amazing now, right? I could probably eat other teeth with my teeth now. Be a man, suck it up. I mean, I did, right? I didn't stop her at any point, but it was horrible. And then of course you got to fight your urge to like poke at everything that goes in your mouth with your tongue. I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'm holding hands with the instruments. What they had when I got the root canal touched up was they had this thing that like just goes in your mouth and it just pushes your tongue away, and it like puts a block between the work that they're doing and the rest of your mouth. That was great, because then I didn't have to worry about what my tongue was doing, because it was just crushed. That was so initial appointment, assessment, x-rays, separate office to do the root canal, assessment and redoing the glue, and doing all of the molding and stuff. They do molding that they 3D scan. Then getting the cap put on and having a cleaning at the same time. And I have to return for half of the cavities, and then I have to return for the other half of the cavities. I got 5 very minor cavities that they want to address, and that's next week. I would like to be done with my mouth. I think if I had gone to the dentist regularly, I would not be in this situation. You produce an enzyme in your mouth all the way through your teens that keeps it relatively clean without a whole lot of intervention. Some people, at least, they do better than others. I have a sonic toothbrush. That was a big major breakthrough, because the dentist would typically be like a bloodbath for me, right? It would be absolutely horrible. And I'm like, well, you're poking my gums with pointy instruments. Of course, there's a lot of blood. Well, this visit was a little bit bloody. It's kind of bad. But since I got the sonic toothbrush, my dentist visits went from, holy shit, you need to brush, this is ridiculous, to, your teeth are fine. There's like no enthusiasm to the dentist at all, because they like to lord it over you. They like to be like, you should floss, you should brush. Why do you not do these simple things, mortal human? I am better than you as a dentist. Whereas after the sonic toothbrush, they were like, fine. Your teeth look okay. So I finally found a great dentist. Love him. Best ever. Always feared the dentist, but I look forward to going. Oh, keep in mind, all this stuff that I'm saying is like just personal complaints. It's nothing to do with the skill of the dentist or the cleanliness of the office or anything, because the dentist that I go to is really good. It was recommended to me by a lot of people who live around here, and they're personable, they're nice, they're fun. The dentist is not as personable. Like, I like to share weird personal details and get a laugh out of the dentist, and he's got less of that than I would have liked. But other than that, he's like a really good dentist. So yeah, I'm totally smitten with the people that I'm going to see. The procedures sucked though. Tier 1 from a bridge over troubled water. They've subbed for 61 months. 61 is the 18th prime number, says a Bridgewater, and the sum of two consecutive squares, 5 squared plus 6 squared. 5 squared plus 6 squared, but this is somehow not a prime sub. Do you just know these things, or did you punch that into something that told you all of this? That's a lot. I heard your teeth look great today, finally. Hey. Years of you need to brush. Oh, you heard that. Okay, sorry. I finally heard, quote, your teeth look great today. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I was promised that the 6-month follow-up visit was going to, for the cleaning, was going to be very boring, and I hope that's the case. Wikipedia has a list of prime numbers and then pages for each number individually. That is an incredible amount of nerdiness to be putting into Wikipedia, and I support it. There's no music going on right now. I forgot to put on music. The page is muted, I think. Or has this been playing? Oh, it's been playing, but I can't hear it. What's going on? Yeah, there's no desktop audio going on right now. And we're on the Scarlett 2i2. This is not... Oh, it's paused, even though it shows a pause button. Weird. I'll just leave the music off for this. I'll leave the music off for this. Is Wikipedia doing the fundraising thing again? I always think about supporting them. Same with WinRAR. I bought some ESPs. I've got the older ones and I got the newer ones. The newer ones, I'm gonna have a circuit board that I'm able to basically attach to the back of these screens, and I've already got a setup that has 2 of the screens attached, so I'll probably do the ESP to the screen and put WLED on it. But the stuff that we did last time with WLED is not really pertinent, it's not relevant to what I want to do with this screen. I want the Raspberry Pi 5 to run what is called M-Audio, and M-Audio is milk drop plugins. They need an OpenGL wrapper in order to run. The wrapper just allows it to do all kinds of... Aren't those rare because of Ukraine? Really? Is that true? I got 3 of these for $17, and I accidentally ordered 3 of these for $17. So I probably paid way too much for these things, but we needed them in order to run the screen with WLED. Because these I can put somewhere else in here and have them coordinated with the visuals of the rest of everybody using WLED. But for the Raspberry Pi, I don't want or need WLED. I'll probably need to make something that can interpret messages that'll go out to all the other WLED runners so that I can coordinate some LED visuals around the shop. That would be nice and fun to do. It's a bit of work, but this I need to run OpenGL and then in C, and then run C++ maybe, I don't know, whatever. And then it can run the M-Audio library. Is it? No, Project M, sorry. The Project M library it can run, and then it can do the visuals on, for instance, its HDMI port, whatever OpenGL is running with. And then we can pull pixels out of that and send it to something like a screen. And the screen would be local because there's no reason why we should pump it into WLED like that. Alternatively, we could also pump it into WLED and coordinate a bunch of different screens around the shop. So technically from the Raspberry Pi, I could run WLED kind of stuff maybe to make this respond like it was coordinated with the rest of the shop. So if a subscription comes in, we can hit all those LEDs at the same time and make the whole shop react to something. I think that would be really fun. But the fact of the matter is that we got completely sidetracked on that last stream, and we went on sort of a tangent that we shouldn't have. Setting up WLED was fun and nice, and it was great, and we actually got LEDs to blink, to do the blinking lights thing for stream. That was great. It had a nice little concise wrap up. However, it's not what we should have been doing because we didn't need that. This is a little bit of the problem here. You know, old buddy of mine comes into chat and he says, you should use WLED. And I say, I trust you. And then completely derails our stream and we end up working on something that we shouldn't. It's fine though. We'll get back to the OpenGL stuff. That's just me hitting my head against the computer until things finally work. It shouldn't be hard to do, but it's one of those things where if you've done it, it's easy to do. And if you haven't done it, it is going to be a royal pain in the butt. So before I even embark on that, I would like to use the ESP32 with WLED to make one of these screens just do stuff. And then we can get to the more boring and complicated thing. In addition to that, the Pi 5 is now going to be running Burn the Subs. This is going to be running Burn the Subs. It's the most powerful Pi that I have. I didn't necessarily want it to be running Burn the Subs because I think these things are hard to get right now. And I probably need to have a backup. I was going to try to hook one up to like a screen and have it run my chat for Julian and Dave when they're doing music stuff here. But I guess I bought this thing and figured out what I'd do with it later. So this is going to be the brain for Burn the Subs. It's a whole lot faster. I don't know how it runs Clipper. It probably runs Clipper really, really well. And so what I'd like to get into with this is actually putting it onto the control panel, getting it to run Clipper, and then moving a couple motors. We'll set up a couple motors on the benchtop that we can get running with Clipper and see how it does as a laser running thing so that we know what pinout we need to hook up to and we can finish that wiring harness up. That's where we are with Burn the Subs. I mean, most of the stuff that I'm working on, not today, but in general, is sort of encouraging us to go in the direction of getting that whole project running. But, you know, my shop is a bunch of odd rarities. Like here we see an AC milliamp meter. Like, what use is that? Why do you have such a professional AC milliamp meter? A BMW turn signal. Believe it or not, these things exist. Although you'll notice there's no car attached to this one. So that's a thing. Just weird. Actually, that was the windshield wiper stock. I bought these for the steering wheel project and never ended up installing them. But whenever people give me gruff when I'm talking about car projects, like, oh, you have a BMW? Ha ha ha! Pricks on the inside, no turn signal. And I'm like, bitch, here's a turn signal right here. My old PrintBot Metal runs Clipper really well on an old RPi 3B+. Yeah, and that's all I think I've really ever needed for Burn the Subs. I mean, Burn the Subs runs on Python. I don't plan on changing that anytime soon, but Burn the Subs runs on Python, and it's a bunch of very simple things that are all happening at once. It's going to have even less to do now because we're using Node-RED as the front end for Burn the Subs. So Node-RED gets on the Twitch API and manages all the physical layer stuff. Clipper is a program that runs a 3D printer from like it basically uses all the processing power of the Raspberry Pi in order to do all the business of running a 3D printer, and you can configure it one single page of configuration. So in the past, this basically takes over the microcontroller of the other device and this becomes the main brain doing all the calculations. And the fact that it is a higher level micro, it can do much more complicated stuff like doing all the calculations for like look ahead momentum and things like that. So the other part is that Clipper works on one singular page of configurations, and it is infinitely configurable like a stack of Lego. You just put the block of the settings in there, and now that's part of your printer. So it's pretty cool. If you have a Frankenstein printer, Frankenstein's monster printer, get it right, streamer, pay the price. We'll set off the shock collar if you get it wrong or move from your stool at all. Anyway, the Clipper allows you to have a custom printer that is just crazy. And you know, I want to add a thing to it. Do you have enough car parts in your work area to create a Frankenstein's Monsters car? Frankenstein's Monsters car, what does that look like? I mean, the Munsters had the Dragula, but is it Berenstain or Berenstein? I do not have this car. No, I don't have an old Chevy hearse. Yeah, no, my car is actually the car that is not supposed to be the project car. That's the thing, is like, in my life, I've done so much with crazy project cars that sometimes don't work. And so you sometimes miss work. And so what I did is I decided I'm going to pay out the ass, buy like a good BMW that I'm not going to have to work on. And I won't feel like I have to work on it, because if I really want the car to get out of its own way, it will. So that's the car that I bought. It was the singular most mass-produced car on the planet. It was the 330i. This one happened to be a ZHP, so it was kind of like the almost M car. And it was gray, and it was completely, it wasn't invisible. I got pulled over a lot in that car, unfortunately. But then I also had the Porsche 944. That was going to be the project car, and I was going to work on that. And then I ran into a problem with the computer for the Chevy V8 that I was putting in there. And that 2 years I didn't work on the car, sold it. Shouldn't have done that, but my life took me in a direction where I didn't have space anymore. You know, I'm not going to pay for a garage if it's just for a car that's never going to work. And I should have, tooth and nail, held on to that car, because like nowadays, if I were to do a little fundraising, I hate to do that on the backs of chat, but I certainly don't have the money right now. If I did a little bit of fundraising and maybe took care of my teeth, because that's how much I'm paying for all these dental visits. The dental visits are a project car, by the way. But if I'd held on to the one car somehow, and knowing what I know now, having the 3D scanner, I could probably be pulling a super fast mat with that car and put some kind of an electric power plant in there. And that would lead us to doing some other projects with the car that would sort of resto mod one of those. I want to do that so badly. It's just eating at me. One day, maybe in the far-flung future, I can embark on such an endeavor. But right now we are in the realm of cheap little microcontrollers and projects, and silly things that I can do with LEDs, and ways that I can encourage chat to actively sub to my channel and or gift subs. That would indeed be the Franken car. But like, boy. Copy of some kind of a 3D CAD program that's not for art, it's for engineering. So you can put numbers into it, plan everything out. Hell, even Blender can do this kind of stuff nowadays, because people they make Blender do everything. And so you can get Blender to do like engineering stuff and, you know, make all your drawings. For me, I've used Fusion because, yeah, I learned it early in college, and that sort of shaped the way that I think about putting together three-dimensional things. Fusion is very engineering software, and it helps a lot in resolving numbers and stuff, and I can produce drawings of things very easily. It's been really cool to learn what modern CAD can do. With the 3D scanner, I can scan the car, pull that into Fusion, make brackets hold everything together, right? I really want to do that. I want to do that. Just get something to lift the car up in the garage, bring the laptop and a 3D scanner, get some rudimentary 3D scans of things, and then the rest of the stuff that I would need is on GrabCAD. GrabCAD just has everything. It's crazy. Without that resource, I don't know how I'd do it, but yeah. There'd be a lot of hacking that we would be able to do. You guys have seen me when I do automotive level hacking. I've completely taken over the steering wheel. The only thing that I don't know how to do with the steering wheel is get the backlight to turn on, because there's a backlight on that steering wheel. It looks awesome. Would I want the Mercedes steering wheel in the Porsche? I think that might be a little too sacrilegious. Maybe it'd be sacrilegious, though. Having a hard time transitioning to anything other than Blender. I've gotten so used to Blender, and learning Fusion is intimidating. Tried to learn it once and nothing was sticking or making sense. As an engineer, I can call myself that. I've received a paycheck for engineering jobs. I could show you the paycheck. I could show you it. And I have a degree. I'm an engineer. I'm a big boy. I'm a big boy. I'm an engineer. Anyway, so as an engineer, you don't know what sort of software ecosystem you're going to be stepping into when you start a new job, when you start a new project. And sometimes that will call on you to learn a different CAD program than you're used to. And so you're all thumbs at first. It eventually starts to kind of, pan out. At the IED job that I did, reverse engineering IEDs, the main part of the job was creating the schematic. And so we had a program that was very specific to making schematics that one guy in Florida made. I want to be that guy, you know? I want to be that guy. Oh yeah, my silly little CAD program that uses sort of intuitive buttons in order to make 2D drawings really well for circuits. Yeah, it's used by like this major operation in the FBI, and they bought like 60 copies of it every year. Like that was the CAD program that we used there. Everything was weird though. Grab component, you'd hit GC and you'd grab just the component and none of the traces. Grab object, you would grab the component and all the traces would move with it. GC, GO, PC, place component, place line, PL. I learned how to use that, and it was really, really fast for creating sort of MS Paint level schematics. It's kind of crazy. Fusion 360 is a little bit more difficult because each one of the parts that you're placing is connected intrinsically to either, well, it can be connected to a 3D model, but it's also connected to an actual physical footprint that goes onto the board. That's important because when you get your parts all set out and you're building within your own collection of parts, it is very satisfying and easy to do. You put down all of these, you put down your schematic, you make sure everything's configured correctly. That is literally programming the next section of your effort, which is to put everything down physically onto the board. And there's a lot of automated tools that can help you with that in the end. I don't like using the automated tools. I like to kind of do it manually because it's fun. It is like playing Factorio. If you've ever gotten stuck playing Factorio and you've realized that that strobing light outside is actually the sun going up and down, then you know what it's like to build a circuit board. If you have a little bit of knowledge of how the ones and zeros or the electrons are going around, you can build an actual circuit board. It's not like an alien thing. And if you've done a prototype, you know what you're building and what you need to do in order to build it. It's not that difficult. People are very intimidated by the process. And nowadays, you can then go to a board house where they take a bunch of different designs and they put it on a big panel and they make it all at once. Big automated machines do this, so your boards are like $5 each or less sometimes. Now, the situation with tariffs has made me pause on a lot of my circuit board projects. I have a feeling the reason I have a free copy of Fusion 360 is because I do the electrical stuff with Fusion 360. It is rare for somebody to do that. I like it. I think it's a good program. It's a little rough making all of your parts. There's some stuff in there that's very crazy. The process for using Blender as an engineering tool seems very roundabout. Yeah, I've heard that. But there's also, you know, there's FreeCAD and free, what is the other one? There's the like Linux-based free circuit board tools that everyone and their dog is making plugins for. That's the big thing that I'm jealous about. Oh God, FreeCAD? Define random. Yeah, KiCad. That's the one. Everybody and their dog is making plugins for KiCad that can make your life easier when you're building circuit boards. FreeCAD is utter hell. I don't hear that here. I don't hear that here. Emily Valenesco, creator that I don't know what they're up to these days, but they had a tweet back when people were using Twitter and it wasn't a platform for god awful. Anyway, before Twitter became fucking terrible, all of us electrical people were doing stuff on it, and it was a really cool little like ecosystem of projects and things to look at. And this creator, Emily Valenesco, made a comment that said, you know, everybody's telling me to use Fusion 360 and it's like completely obnoxious. And I'm like, that is exactly the opposite of what happens to me. I use Fusion 360, Autodesk Fusion, and everybody and their dog comes into my stream and goes, hey, have you done KiCad? You should use KiCad. And I'm like, hearing somebody with the opinion that they're hell, I've never framed them as hell. I've never really used them that much. I tried to use KiCad and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I looked at what Autodesk had, and they had the free version of Fusion that is Eagle, which I used to use. Eagle was a little bit clunky. It was a one-time purchase and you would have your software. It got bought by Autodesk and rolled into their subscription service. Eagle is capable. Eagle is what all the hobbyists used to use. It is now more integrated with Fusion so that if you build that circuit board, you can pull it into your CAD drawings with completely accurate parts for sizing and things like that, and you can build 3D structures around your circuits for your project. I think that's amazing. I think that has been one of single coolest things that I've been able to do was plan out things like the RC car body and then make something to hold all of the electronics. I made these circuit boards. I made dummies of these circuit boards in the Fusion Eagle, and then I brought them into a measurement drawing of the RC car frame, and I rebuilt the crossbar in order to hold on to all of the electronics efficiently. So I'm sure these DOS Micro things have moved way on since we did this, but yeah. By simple, I mean a cube. Oh, FreeCAD's entire ecosystem is both opaque and arcane. I tried using it once to create a simple 3D model, and it gave up after 30 minutes of looking for which of the millions of buttons to click. You gotta start with tutorials, you know, because then you don't have that sort of thing going on. If we got back to this, I'd probably discover that all the electronics are way more advanced than they are now. And there's like different stuff that I should be using in order to build the RC car. This is a fun project. I got this up to 34 miles an hour on the GPS. I would like to still test it with the gyro active to see how fast I can go. But one of the things that we need to do is jump back into Fusion, just Fusion or Fusion Eagle, maybe Fusion Eagle. And I would love to make headlights and taillights for this thing. And then I can print it in smoked plastic, and I can maybe I could make a mask for the windows that I can print on a printer. So I could print on a printer, make the window masks, put those down, and then paint the body. And then we would have clear sections for things like headlights. And I've got a magnetic connector for the front and the back. So we could do headlights and taillights on the thing. Just to be giant children. It's everything 10-year-old me could dream of in an RC car. Why do we do this? Because girls don't like us, typically. We don't really talk to girls very much, so we do projects like that. Easy EDA is web-based. It's Chinese. The libraries are a snap. Interesting. So I've learned a lot about how to get parts into Fusion Eagle. There are a lot of things that it could do a lot better. And I have a feeling other electronics design softwares probably do that better. But pulling your design into a three-dimensional drawing is the real like super duper cool thing. And it's kind of like Adobe, where it's like it looks nice while doing it. The program looks good. It looks good on camera. The visuals are nice. The free tools are sometimes a little bit less featureful, and then the open source tools are often rough around the edges. That's just my experience, though. Everybody loves proving the streamer wrong. Unfortunately, I cannot have Willow on camera right now because she doesn't like it when I yell at the furniture. She is up by the front door by her own choice, and she's able to come down here and visit if she wants. She has an extensive bed under my desk. There's her bed under my desk. That's my desk. There's all kinds of crap around it. You can see she's got my Twitch partner blanket and her little bed that's way smaller than it should be. And I know that's very abusive, but you know what? She likes it. I tried flipping the bed for a larger bed. And she is of course supposed to be there all during stream, and if she moves at all, there will be repercussions. No, there won't. Yeah, she's upstairs right now. She's having the time of her life sleeping by the door. As for Fusion, it is significantly easier to wrap your brain around. Same for SolidWorks. I see Fusion as an ogre in that it has layers. Surface level, you can click something and move it around. Although I don't think that shouldn't be possible. You shouldn't be able to do that. But if somebody makes an extensive drawing with all of the right motion stuff in, and motion stuff, I'm still figuring it out. I don't know I need to figure out how to define motion in Fusion, because then I could have drawings that I can pull, or parts designs that I can pull up and I can click on it and ha ha ha, look at the wheel spin. I don't know how to do that. So in my drawings, what happens is I'll click on something accidentally and move it, and it'll just move it, it'll clip into stuff. I don't like that they allow you to do that. But with Fusion, you pull up a parts drawing and there it is, right? Here's your part. Here's like 5 or 6 tools. Oh, but there's a pull down menu for more tools. Oh, and if you go into this tab, there's even more tools. And in this tab, you can work on this. So like, you kind of peel away the layers of Fusion, and it gets more and more capable. But if you don't need all the capability, right on the outset, here is a sketch You can extrude from that sketch like you were a 3D printer and continue on. Is pooping like 3D printing? It kind of is. Does that mean we are 3D printers? All right, stream starts soon. Welcome to my stream. I've been just like talking. It's probably been like 4 hours of talking. It's been a full hour. When did that happen? I guess making the YouTube thumbnail and stuff takes up a little time. So technically for YouTube, I have not been on for a full hour. But what was that? What was that bother? What in the world was that? Well, instead of sitting around and, sitting around and having like a timer on screen saying stream starts in 5 minutes, to get everybody in the mood, I like to just talk to the people who are trickling into chat about nothing. You know, just random BS. I like to talk. I like to talk to people. We talk a lot here. Why is there so much talking? What the hell? And that sort of allows people to gather so that when I review what we're going to be working on today, I actually have people listening to me. You know, if you use constraints in Fusion, you should be able to get it to the point where click and drag doesn't move something because of all the geometric relationships defined. Yeah, it's not about nothing. Listen, you and your opinions. Anyway, what are we working on today? Well, we're going to be working on Fusion 360. Why are we working on Fusion 360? This is because, Autodesk Fusion. I'm sorry. The Autodesk Fusion program is like a couple programs that are wrapped into itself. There's a lot of really good capability there. 3D modeling is sort of the cornerstone of the program. It also does electronics design, which lends itself to 3D modeling because everybody likes to put a case around the thing that they're building. You know, you start with a prototype and it's going to look something like this with just a bunch of bullshit just sort of stacked around the desk. And then in the end, you want to actually make something that is sort of a cohesive design, maybe something that incorporates all of your stuff into one thing. Sometimes it's just maybe accoutrements on your thing. This was designed in Fusion 360 and it was given all of its text and stuff. Channel point fart box with the LEDs inside that are running a little hotter than I would like them to. It is yet to burn down the house though. And I built it into a different case that I didn't 3D model. We simply measured the opening for the speaker and I made this little screw bracket for it. So that's like, this is like a prime Autodesk Fusion kind of project. Oh, the O in box is, or the B in box? I don't know. One of those is dead. Maybe we got to revisit that one. Anyway, that's the magic of this CAD software. And so Autodesk contacted me and they said, hey, we like what you do. We like that electronics stuff because you're actually showing off the electronics capability of Fusion. It seems that I am a rare case, and I don't know why, because I used Eagle, and the electronics stuff works really well, and I see some people using it. I see a lot of creators on YouTube using Fusion for its 3D capabilities. So, and maybe I'm just looking at Inventor because they sort of all look alike. But Autodesk decided, hey, if you're going to be doing this, why not throw up the hashtag AutoCAD add, and we will provide you with your software for free. And I said, oh, but I'm an educator. I educate people on how to use the software. And oh, what do you mean you need credentials to re-up the education license? Of course, I will help you to get me a free piece of software. I would love this. It is actually a pretty good symbiotic relationship with the two things. What I like to see in folks that decide to have me support them in advertising is that it's something that's completely in line with what I would be doing anyway. I would be weaseling my way into some sort of version of Fusion, if not just the free version that they have, which has some limitations on it, and using that to get all these projects done. So in line with how I already operate, I can do what I do anyway and instead get a free version of software that I couldn't afford otherwise. So here we are. Oh, wait, that's Node-RED. Here's Fusion. Welcome to my Fusion stream. When I do these projects in Fusion 360, oftentimes I will not do my homework. I don't know what I'm doing. I am an electrical engineer. I don't do a ton with mechanical engineering. And so when I start these Fusion projects, I often don't know what I'm getting myself into, right? I don't know what I'm getting myself into, and oftentimes that'll lead to interesting things that maybe people can relate with and learning how to use CAD. As an engineer, you need to be able to use any piece of CAD software because you will get fired and you will start on a new job and then you will need to learn a different piece of software. So being malleable in that respect You start out and you are all thumbs in your CAD software, and eventually you get better and better at working with it, but you end up with 2 left feet and 3 thumbs, and you just don't know right from left. So Fusion is a very visual editor. It's got a lot of really good and easy to use tools, and it looks nice. I am using the dark mode, which was experimental for a little while. I think it's in the main version. They seem to have fixed a lot of the visual things that were still just a little bit broken with dark mode. I don't know how big their software team is, but you know what? They seem to be catching up pretty well. I really hope we can see a Linux version in the future, but I don't know if they're going to prioritize that. They are currently saying that Windows 10 is going to be end of life, and I'm going to be one of those people who just obstinately sticks with Windows 10 until they force me off of it, basically. Or if Windows 12 comes out and they say, hey, we got rid of all the monitoring tools. I really would hope that they would be able to do some kind of a Linux version so that I can not get monitored on every platform tenfold. So we were working on my computer. This is a computer project that we were working with. And what I'd like to do is take the crazy, crazy computer that we built, this thing, the temp water cool build, and move it onto the wall. The reason we're moving it onto the wall is that there were a couple high spots on the temporary water cooling build, and I'm not running the pump as hard as I could. So these these high spots with the pump not running at full bore and my restrictive tubing, you know, that works perfectly fine for cooling the computer. If your water's running slow, it's okay. If you're not running a ton of water, it's okay. Water takes in a lot of energy. I was able to cool the computer perfectly fine. But now the fact is the high spots are gaining little bubbles. It's the, what do you call it? The silicon rubber tubing leaches. Water kind of evaporates out of the silicon rubber tubing. I didn't even know this is the thing. Windows 12's selling point. Hey, we got rid of all the monitoring tools. I would buy it instantly. Yeah, I would pay like retail money for that instead of finding some kind of weird EU workaround. I would buy that for the what, $300? I would do that if they said, hey, we turned off monitoring. You have to opt into it. Cool. Wouldn't that be what a world, what a world. Anyway, so the computer is leaching out water, and that leads to bubbles in the system. And so periodically I'll have to open the system up and then squirt water into it. I don't want to really have to do that, although I'm probably going to still have to do it with this redesign. With this redesign, I'm not going to LAN parties anymore. And I have a machine that can go to LAN parties for me. We haven't had a LAN party in a long time. I have a handheld that I can take and remote into this computer with Steam. So, because we're old men, I don't care about like snap reaction time. So I can deal with the delay of being sort of remoting into a system. So anyway, in that vein, I would like to put this computer on my wall. And because I'm me, we're not doing this in any kind of a normal way. I have these wall control panels. Father, why is your stream like 5 hours of talking? It takes me an hour and a half to explain what the project is. That orange board right there is a wall control panel. It's a system of hanging a bunch of hooks on your wall so that you can like put tools on it. So if I'm going over to a wall control system and I'm trying to do this on the cheap, that was a dings and dent wall control panel. You can get them cheap if they're damaged. And the damage, it's a powder coated metal panel, right? You just take a pair of pliers, bend it back into place. So that's what I would like to have up on my wall. I want to have my computer on it. So we've been using Fusion in order to plan that out. Where did I put that? Probably all the way down here with W. Yeah, wall PC. So we've been doing that. We've been trying to kind of plan out the build. Oh, this isn't right. That's not the right one. That's not what I wanted. We've been using Fusion 360 to plan out the build and put all the components down where... Oh, I see. I got rid of all the other stuff in the drawing. Yeah, we've been working in one document in order to sort of get an idea of where everything would be placed. And I'm going to use riv nuts in the wall control panel to put M4 bolts into the wall and hold up all of my equipment. So in doing that, we have been designing some flanges to hold these giant PC fans against my dual radiators, because the old computer used dual radiators Here, I can pull them in here. Where are they? These two that used 45 millimeter fans. And because I don't want to spend $130 on a new radiator, we need to make some kind of a manifold, an air manifold that's going to mount these giant PC fans to the radiators and move air through them efficiently. Well, maybe not efficiently, just at all. There'll probably be dead spots and stuff inside of this, but it needs to be something that I can 3D print. So in the last stream, what we did is we pulled in all of these components, the enormous Noctua fan, this bracket down here, and what we're going to do is design two brackets, but one of them is going to be a mirror image of the other one. It's just that the other one is then going to have something that goes down and mounts to the base plate. And hopefully I'll be able to 3D print these. So what we did is took projections in sketches in order to create these two manifolds. Now, this isn't just going to be open. I will, of course, cover this section. It's just for right now, we're not incorporating it because I need to build some kind of a structure going from one piece of this to the other. And I don't really know what that's going to look like. I don't really know what that's going to look like. We tried playing with some of the lofting tools and it didn't really want to play nice with that. What I think I want to do is project down a piece from the top of this. Well, at least from the overlap parts. How am I going to do that? If I project that onto that drawing, I can just extrude from that and just have a flat wall that comes up over there. Yeah, that's probably... But then my sketches are projecting onto my sketches, and I don't know if I like that. Maybe I need to make a separate sort of manifold sketch, in which case I could do a simple square around the outside. It's a little bit more than a simple square, though, and loft it over to this one. And I should probably leave a little bit more room for air. We should probably lift this up a little bit. So if I'm going to lift this up, I need to go back in the timeline and lift it up. Going back in the time, why are there two of these next to each other? Huh. What is this one? Ah, this one is just for these two components. I see. Okay, so really these should be one step, but by double clicking on this step, we are rewinding time to when these parts were placed in these positions. So when these parts were placed in these positions are on this one. You want to go to this position as late as possible for moving it, because if you lock positions in a later step, it'll make this really confusing scenario where you move the part, and then when you go to the front of the timeline, the part moves back to where it was. Because this really should be just one big step. One big steppy. But anyway, let's move the Noctua. Let's move it up by like maybe a centimeter. Yeah, a centimeter, I think. We'll keep it compact, but it doesn't need to be completely like sandwiched. It's going to be kind of tall. This is going to be a tall structure on the rest of this. We still haven't determined what the standoff to the base is going to be. And actually, that might be a separate manifold. We might make a separate, well, or it comes off of this plate down here, and it'll be a little taller, but then the fan will be sort of incorporated into it instead of like an integrated piece. I don't know if it matters all that much, but I'm trying to do good by this. All right, so let's just do like a simple, because last time I looked at this and I kind of had like writer's block and I didn't really know what I was doing, right? I kind of just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to build. Instead, let's actually take this thing and like put a square on top of it and see if we can just, I don't know if we want to put a square on top of it and chamfer them back. I think that's how this edge should do, but maybe this edge here needs to come out a little bit. Or I could do a circle into a square and use the loft tool to make that. But then I've got all these overhangs on the two different manifolds. These are very different pieces, these two. Very different. This one has much more structure to it. Let's try the ring thing first and just see what we think of it. But I think that this manifold should probably come off of the outer edge instead of this inner edge. But what I'll do is I'll go back to the sketch for the fan. And let's get the radiators out of the way. It looked like my parts list got larger. Weird. Okay, so get rid of the two radiators. And let's do an isometric view. Or sorry, an orthogonal view. And then in the bodies, I'm going to get rid of the radiator manifold. Now this, luckily, the person who designed this part gave us a center point. If you're dealing with like threads and stuff, sometimes your center point isn't necessarily in the center of the object. This one luckily has this sort of rounded base plate that has a dot in the center. That's very, very useful. Because now what I can do is on the sketch, are we in the sketch? Oh, we're not in the sketch, hold on. I guess it popped us out of the sketch. Yeah, now we're in the sketch, none of the bodies exist. Okay, so I'm gonna create a second, circle that is gonna be the thickness. So actually we're gonna offset it from this circle. This circle is set on the center point. So we can do an offset over here and I can make that a certain number of millimeters. Then if we have to go back in and change our like outer wall thickness, we can do that. So let's set it to 3 millimeter, maybe 4. 4 is going to be a little bit more structural. And now we have a little 4 millimeter radius going on. We can finish this sketch. And now I want to go into the other sketch. So we don't need any of these bodies here. We can go into the other sketch, get the fan out of the way. That's down here. And I can square out the edge of this thing. Wait, why is that not connected? Oh, because I used the inner geometries there. I projected the entire plane on it. So I think what I need to do is invent an outer perimeter that's cohesive. So I'm going to just take the square tool and just give it a click on both of the fixed points. These are all projected geometries, and what Fusion is trying to do is define squared in, like boxed in solids. So if you have something that has a cohesive perimeter, you can click on the center and extrude that piece of the drawing. Fusion gets confused if you move stuff around, like if you move them in space in the timeline, and you create extra structures, extra boxed in structures, it doesn't know what you want to do with those. It'll sometimes make assumptions and things can get kind of wonky. So you have to go back through the steps of your timeline and correct that. But Fusion works on a timeline and it works on sketches. And so, principally, that's sort of what you learn first. There are other things. There's other things. There's solids, surfaces, meshes, sheet metal, plastic, all kinds of crazy stuff. But start off with the easy things. This is going to be annoying because there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to have to click in order to extrude from. Oh, actually, no, there's not. Wait a minute. We're going outside of the structure. So we've made our initial boxed in area. So I can double click on that perimeter. And then I'm going to make an internal offset on that one. So I'm going to offset it by negative. That means I'm going to have to click a lot of things. That's where it's going to get annoying. It possibly could have used a new sketch. So we made the other perimeter 4, so this one's going to be -4. And we'll probably have to figure out what we're going to do about screw holes. What am I going to do about screw holes? I don't know. I genuinely do not know. Because it goes over the edge on the other piece. Well, I just want to play with the loft tool right now, so let's just see what this does. -4 does not take us to the inner edge of the radiator, though. Wait a minute. Yeah, maybe we need... I don't want to offset the offset, and that's the outer perimeter, so I think we need to come up with an inner perimeter. I just hit Control-Z, and I don't know... Oh, yeah, here we go. Control-Z until it goes away. We kind of need an inner perimeter, and I think that's defined by this. So if I do a construction line going straight up out of this to this inner perimeter... Now I've got both that. No, wait, no, that's not the intersection. No, that's actually not what it is. Our inner perimeter is here. Well, sort of off of here. So let's go off of this edge up here. Where is that edge? It's right there. It's hard to see. Let's get the one that's easier to see. Let's go down here. We'll do this. Well, we need to do the hidden corner, but I'll show you what I'm doing down here. So I want to be able to cover over the inner part here. So I'm actually going to take a construction line and I'll come out of this thing horizontally until I hit that inner perimeter. And that's actually a unconstruction to my unconstruct. So that's the construction line. Construction lines do not define your enclosed spaces. They let you put in measurements and stuff that'll help you put down your actual solid lines. And so the color coordination of all these things is important when you're using Fusion. If something is a weird color, in this case green, that means that it is not defined by a measurement. And so it's a little tricky. You need to give it like an anchor of some kind. So right here, and I can barely see the outline of that solid, but here I need a construction line. You can also click over here to make one that's horizontal and connects us with this inner perimeter here. So that's what we need for our square inner perimeter. So now I need to define that with solid lines. So I'm going to take that corner. Nope. I'm going to take a solid line. I'm using the X key to turn on and off the construction lines and go from over here all the way to over here. Is he still talking? Why is he still talking? What is up with the streamer? If you guys don't know, I'm referencing kind of one of those YouTube comments that you get and you're like, why did they watch my video? Like, why did they do it? And now let's make an outer perimeter of 4 millimeters so we can see what we're up against here. So if I go 4 millimeter out, nope, it went the opposite direction. Yeah, I can hit the flippy button right here. You guys can't see what I'm doing. I can hit the little flippy button, or I could put just like a negative sign because that's all the flippy button does. Okay. So there's our 4 millimeter square that we now have to loft into the other piece. If I'm going to highlight this whole thing and core it out, I could do that. That's probably what the loft function is looking for. So let's put these two sketches out into the light of day. So I'm wondering if I can highlight, this is going to be tough. I need to hold down the control button and do a lot of little clicking. If you've got these projected geometries, they can sometimes complicate your highlights, which is why I was thinking maybe I need a new sketch for this, and I probably do. But I'm going to suffer through it for right now. Yeah, see, those holes will have to be made later. So I can get screws to this thing. But we'll figure that out in a minute. So I'm just hitting control and clicking on all these things. Maybe I'll build this up by 1 millimeter and then I can try using the lofting tool. This is where a misclick would be very unfortunate. Very unfortunate indeed. All right, highlight all this stuff. Oops. Yeah, I'm gonna make 2 more bodies out of this because I think it'll be easier to work with if I just hit the E key and do 1 millimeter up. Okay. So now I actually have a solid that I can work off of. Same with this one. This one has less stuff in the way, I think. Oh, see, looking through the other sketch is not... So let's get that sketch out of there. Oh, no, that's not it. No, we want... Yeah, we don't want that sketch. Oh, great. We got little half screw holes. So control... No, I gotta highlight that. There it is. There's a couple of these. I don't want the complicated geometry of that screw circle in my my loft command because I want to give the loft command every advantage here. We really should have projected this onto new sketches. That would save us a whole lot of clicking, a whole lot of little clicks that I got to do in each quadrant of this thing. This part is probably symmetrical. I probably could have done it with like a mirror operation. Then I would have had a quarter of the clicking to do. But anyway, this is how I use Fusion. This is the sort of my understanding of Fusion as a not mechanical engineer and a not super CAD person, is just sketch the thing, project the geometries, work around it, and then, you know, deal with it. Is that like a section there? It is. Oh God, I gotta go find those. I think we're all in here. It's just right here. There's just this little tiny, I think. I don't know. Yeah, so it kind of looks like there's another circle there that I'm running up against. All right, let's try it. Extrude by 1 millimeter. We can come back to the extrude if there's other weird stuff going on. So extrude that, and let's go 1 millimeter. And what direction is that moving in? Okay, that is moving in the dimension that we want it to be. As a new body, it's not attaching to anything. And so get rid of the sketch. Let's take a look at it. Are there any weird... It should be just a circle. I think it's just a circle. Okay, so lofting. This should be pretty easy, right? If I create a loft from this to this. Loft could not be created. Try changing the inputs, swapping profiles for rails or center line, or adjusting the continuity conditions. Cannot create a tool body for the loft. If you do that, no? Yeah, see, I don't have like rails where it's supposed to follow. The way we did this in the past was we had two solid blocks that we were lofting together. So that may be the way that I need to do it, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to highlight the center of these things and extrude to stitch the bodies together. I think maybe I need to do the thing where I do another sketch on top of this, like a second sketch. Because loft should be able to create just like a sweep between these two things. Although if I do a loft on the outer edge, oh, okay. that brought the whole thing into the drawing. If I were working properly with this stuff, what I really should be doing is this would be like a separate component from the rest of the drawing. This is in fact the drawing of the whole computer. I didn't want to make such a big deal of this whole thing. It's become a big deal, but I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Turns out we're gonna have to make a big deal out of it. If I did know it was gonna spiral out of control the way it's been going, I would have created two like separate component drawings and stuff and worked within that. And you can actually work within this main drawing and edit the components in place. So it would be like I was editing the other document from this document. It gets weird. Things get weird. Okay, so those two extrusions I am not that worried about. I'm gonna leave all that stuff in the sketch but I am gonna make a new sketch. Weirdly enough, I guess I'll just do, because we can project both of these components in. How does it, wait a minute. I'm just thinking. Like technically right now what I could do is click on absolutely everything and highlight, you know, sort of the whole area of the box and then extrude that. But it's way overcomplicated with all these projected elements in there. So what I can do is create another sketch and actually delete timeline up to here. Or just delete these steps. All right, no more extrusions. Let's just go from the radiator and the fan. We'll do the fan first. I guess I'll just do create sketch tool and put one here again. Let's see, what am I projecting in? I guess I want just this inner edge and project that. And maybe I take this one too, click OK. And now that sketch only contains that. And if I go and create another sketch, so let's get the Noctua out of here. And let's get the radiators back in. You know, I'm trying to do this properly. It's become fairly complicated, but just trying to do right by this project and actually put this computer on my wall without too much strife. And then bring back in this sketch, and I'm gonna project this outline here. That should have highlighted the whole thing. Oh, because it only did that. This here, okay, let's cancel that and hit P again for project. Double click on that one, double click on this one, and that's that sketch. Okay, so now without that sketch visible and only these two, I have something that I can create a loftable space with. The radiators don't have to be in here for right now, Because what we can do, so in Fusion, what we can do is create a bunch of different bodies that aren't attached to each other, and then we can attach them to each other. And so I figure the way the loft command is working, it doesn't like some of the stuff that I'm doing. I'm kind of trying to make like a hollow manifold that goes up to the other piece, and it's not really, it doesn't like that. So what I'm going to try to do is, at least for now, oh, really? Did it project all of that stuff, or is that just highlighting within? What, huh? What did it project? Wait a minute. So there's all this stuff. Oh, all this stuff exists on the, where I put the sketch down. Oh, that's bad. Huh. Because that creates all of these like little surfaces all over this thing. Did it really project the entire? Okay, yeah, so there's only on that one face I have to deal with all of the different little geometry things that are going on. Okay, so that was my bad. That's on me. That's gonna be the same thing up here, isn't it? For the other sketch. I did this wrong. Hold on, we're Control-Zing. We're backing out of it all. Let's get out of here. Come on, chat. Let's get the heck out of here. Let's go all the way back and just delete these steps. We did that wrong. AFK working on a repair project. Hey, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. I'm not giving you a hall pass, though. So if I want to create a sketch and I want it to be in the position of these sketches, what do I need to do? Do I need to identify just something simple that's not a lot for me to click on? If I click on this and I create a sketch there, is that going to free me up? I think that is going to free me up. It's like you got to put a sketch on something, and I want it to be at the same height as the other two sketches in case I move stuff around. So I need to associate it with that position so that Fusion doesn't get confused later on if I move stuff. This is sort of not a great way to do things. This isn't a great way to do things, and I don't know how I'd recommend. I mean, just making an assembly in another drawing would probably be the better way to do this, so that you don't confuse Fusion later on. I'm doing things to kind of band-aid over the fact that I don't want to make tons of files. I want to just work in the one. Any experts in Fusion can feel free to chime in on the proper way to do things, but I personally have learned Fusion in an alleyway. So, okay, so presumably now our new sketch is just a bunch of big boxes. Big box, and it's on a center box. And if I finish that sketch, okay, there we go. It's just two big things. Two big thingy-wingies. Okay, so next we need to base our other sketch on some kind of a circle. So get that one out. Get this one in. We're basically trying to simplify these things. So I don't want the ninja star. If I choose like this, but then that has all the little cuts in it. That'll have all the little cuts in it. So if I just, what if I just click on that centerpiece and I create a sketch? We still have the projection of all this stuff in here. Or no, is that just looking at the, yeah, okay, that's just looking at the other sketch. Okay, we're in business. That worked. So we take the outer perimeter, Control, click the inner perimeter, hit P for project, click OK. And now if I unview this, we have just a simple circle. Okay, that's how we should have done it originally, is not choose surfaces, but choose simple things that we can project, or that we can throw the sketch onto. And those will move with the object, so that the distance between my two shapes will stay the same or move accordingly if I move the objects. But I don't know if that's something that you really necessarily should be thinking about when making these parts. Anywho, so we got our two things at a different height. So now I'm going to loft, and I'm going to do this and the outer surface, and then this and the outer surface. And you can see, haha, we have finally created some kind of a thingy, some kind of an approximation of what maybe a loft might look like in a lab setting. So I can try to make this a little bit more weird looking. And I can use directional tools in order to kind of stretch these geometries out and see if I can't. I could flatten it. We could raise it, lower it. Ooh, that looks weird. This is going to be hell for the 3D printer to get through. To be fair, it probably could just be like, just like a normal kind of thing. Like, it could just be like a flat extrusion from this thing. This is going to be a little weird because then I'm going to attach the gaskets to it and then make bolt hole adapters. I could even skew it. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, I hate it. Oh, I hate it. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Why don't we just go straight down there, buddy? Now, how do I make it go outwards and around? Huh? Profile 1, profile 2. What is that doing for me? Interesting. Oh no, Control Z was not what I wanted. Ah! It's all gone. Everything that I worked for is gone. Oh no. All right, so let's, oh yeah, let me close this so we have more room. Try to work to my left here. Being such a commonly needed shape, I made a tool for this to adapt between circle to circle, square to square to circle, or circle to square to circle, square, circle, square. That's interesting. So what did it take to make a tool to do this? See, I figure I could either do the loft command or I could just create some rails that would adapt one to the other. And it's interesting that it's going sort of in instead of outward. But we can use a lot of these different tools in order to create stuff like that. We could even use a surface tool to individually cater. I wonder what would happen if I brought in the outer perimeter of the Noctua fan and tried to work with that and a loft. Let's try it. Let's try it. I'm going to go back to this sketch, the circle sketch. This is not the circle sketch. The escape, finish sketch. Let's go back to, which one is it? This one. There we go. And let's see, unview the stuff that I'm not working on, bring the Noctua fan back in. And the outer perimeter is going to be a bit of a beast here. But if I project it in, and only the outer perimeter, it's going to be a lot of clicking. I'm going to have to do a lot of clicking. We're just going to click our way around this thing. Yeah, double clicking doesn't really work. I want to go under the rubber bumper. No, I'm going to have to pull those. Okay, that's just going to be annoying. Because this is like a hybrid square circle thing. Something about Megabonk is very harsh. I think it's maybe the strong visuals, the craziness of it all, and then all of the sound effects being kind of like harsh, and then the music is kind of harsh too. Something about it like tires you out just watching the game. I don't know what it is, but it's like compelling. Maybe it's just the dopamine trickle exercise of the whole thing that kind of exhausts me. Because those games, those Vampire Survivor types are just gambling games. I mean, I know there's a little bit more to it where you're actually kind of wandering around and piloting your character and stuff, but like, they're kind of gambling games. Create arc. We just have to do this on the corners because I couldn't find something to click. To make our nice simple enclosure. Double clicking at the corner. Oh, I should try that. Sorry. Too much clicking is my life. Yeah, oh man, there's just a lot. Double clicking at the corner might be a fillet to make it continuous, I see. Well, I mean, all we needed to do was just punch some arcs in there. And now I have my simple perimeter sketch of the whole thing. Now we can punch this into the loft tool and see if it does anything with it. So I am going to bring back my other sketch. So the loft tool wants the solids. I don't know why I kept the inner perimeter there, but let's just loft it, and then I can create like a cutout, and maybe I can loft the cutout in, and it'll create kind of a complex outer wall. Oh, it's just a thought. Just a thought. Just thinking aloud. We can let it be a little thinner on that one. Yeah, so we can take that to the outer edge here and hit Luft. I wish I had a novel way to do this, but I don't. Oh no, it hates me. Why do we have so many profiles? Wait a minute. What's going on here? Profile 1, 2, 3, huh? Huh? Huh. Clicked too many things syndrome. All right, let's X these out. Let's get rid of all these profiles. Okay, and then we'll put a new one in. Holding down Control. So that's profile 1. There we go. So that'll work. Okay. There's no gaps on that. Yeah, so that's all solid. And then we will put in another one. Hold on, not done yet. This one too. There we go. Ooh, that's awkward looking. What an awkward looking thing that I've created. So how do I make it be like a little bit more generous? I think maybe I can change the either direction or what is that doing? Am I profile 1, profile 2? I guess I'm choosing the from and to. Oh yeah, sorry. I need to move these. Or I move you guys. Let's move you guys. Just put you guys down here in the corner. Make you a little smaller. There we go. So now I just have to avoid that corner. So I know lower right and lower left are taken up by stuff. So let's see. I don't completely mind what it's doing there. It would be nice if it was a little swoopier, although there's probably like, I could probably get like an aerodynamics package. I know that if you work with like the solids, hold on, what's going on here? There you go. If you work with like the solids, these things, you can control like the swoops that it does and how it's doing them. This one, I could change this to distance, to direction rather. Make it kind of swoop a little differently. I thought I could change it to tangent, but guide type is not affecting the shape really. Yeah, I think I don't have rails, so. I wonder. So yeah, if I pull that one up, it does blow it out a little bit, although the connections of the solids are very strange. And I could move those around, but I don't know if that would. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I clicked on something and it didn't like it. Oh, tangent edges. Try that. Nope, that didn't work at all. Didn't do anything. I don't know. Do you think would it be like look better and work better if I did just extruded and then like chamfered and filleted my way into one box fitting into the other box? I'm thinking that might be the way that I need to go with this. Is that one is just going to be a square, and then I'll just push the edges in on all of the extremities, and that'll create the shape that I want to create. because then I just bring those two manifolds back into the fray. So let's try it. Let's do that. Let's do that, because this loft is looking a little weird. I don't really like the look. You're going to like your look, I guarantee it. No, I don't like the look. I don't like the look. Well, let me just follow through with this before we do something different. So, okay, there's our solid, our new solid, right? And so in order to create like a manifold with this, what I'll do is, well, first off, what exactly am I doing here? That's not going to really fit. And then if I do that, yeah, so what I'll do is I will just sort of core the whole thing out using the shell command. So hit shell and give it a 4mm sidewall. It's thinking. My whole computer is crashing. Oh boy. Ah! Wait for the program to respond. I posted in the 3D printer channel. Let me see. I want to see. 3D printers. Oh, look at that tool. I have to... Wait a minute. I can... Well, we could just full screen it from Discord. From Piled 3D. That is a cool tool. That's really cool. Yeah, we've manually made stuff like that. Like, this is what, you know, what I'm doing today is us manually making the tool for this, but that's cool. Very cool. That's the Discord, by the way. You guys can join it. There's an electronics help section. If you happen to be called TechSmith314, what just happened here? Did my shell fail? Why are you not shelled? What is shell type? Tangent chain. Unselected. Brought you out to 4. And then my whole computer stopped functioning. Oh no! I think I am going to have to just do this manually then. Shelling this solid shouldn't have been that big of a deal. I don't know why it's... Oh, wait a minute. That kind of looks like it. I don't think it can figure out that I want it to be like a hole through the whole thing. The shell cannot be created of this thickness. Try adjusting the thickness selection setter. Change the shell type. Shell type. This one. Uh-oh. Here it goes again. I'm going to stand up for a minute. I tweaked my knees somehow, and my knee's been hurting for the last couple days. I don't know what's the deal. Boy, that simple tool seems to be much much more capable than my lofty ideas of how things should go together. But all right, okay, I get it. Everything's terrible. I get it. Bring me back into my drawing. So this is what I'm trying to do is basically just get the fan to fit to the radiators in the first place. There's probably going to be a massive amount of supports that I'm going to need in this thing. So it'll be all kinds of cursed. Interesting. I wonder if I could extrude downwards and then make another loft and then use that solid body to delete this solid body. That's a bit much. That's a bit much. What if you do the simple square and circle, loft, shell, and then add mounting tabs? So you're talking about it being like inside. Well, okay, so if I back it up to before we lofted, we'll just delete that step. Okay, hold on. So without all those extra geometries on it, we would do this, and then we would do this, and I have to add these little guys into it. That one, and then this one. is actually harder to do. And then this one, almost there. And like I said at the beginning of stream, I am no expert. I do not know what I'm doing. We are learning all this stuff together. You guys can see what it's like using this piece of software. A loft and then a loft cut is what I used to do. So yeah, that's what I was thinking, is we could extrude into the solid and then loft again with those new cuts, and then body versus body cut out the inside. That was what I thought I would do. But what Shorts is talking about is doing a loft from here to here. And now our geometries are much more, Rail misses profile. Oh, it guessed what a lot of stuff was. I see. It has 8 different profiles. No. So we need to just delete all these. Let's get out of the tool. Let's just unclick everything and hit L. Oh, L is not the create. Loft. Where's that tool? Modify. No, it's create. Luft. And let's add one, and that's going to be this one and this one. And we'll add another one, and then now this one's going to be this one, and then we need to grab all of these little ends because it's creating a much more simple loft that the software might be able to core. One, two, we need to get 3 and 4. There's probably a way that I could work with symmetry so that I wouldn't have to be doing 10,000 clicking operations. Okay, so there's a much more simple loft, although I wish the shape was a little bit different. I think this is okay. And I guess I could bust it out a little bit like that. Yeah, because this is a pretty simple and easy thing. So click OK on that. And then we can see if Fusion will properly open this up. So if I create a shell. Now what it's, I guess I need to specify that I want it to be through the whole thing. And I want 4mm inside. So now it's created like a vase. If I select this face, no, I can only select one face. It's funny because the shell tool shows it going through. It shows a hole on the other end too. I don't know what that changed. What did that change? I can't highlight it over. Huh. And that looks pretty good. It's just I need to like open up the bottom. Oh, here we go. Both. Bonk. Herc. Fusion? Hello? Yeah, I can extrude that last bit. Hey, what's up, Mahalo? How's the manifolding and adaptering? Painful as usual. We're still working with lofting commands. Although I'm wondering if I should just abandon it for extrusion. Yeah, making another loft and then extracting it is subtracting it. That's what I was talking about before. And yeah, let's do that. Let's do the second loft. So the second loft being from here to here, and those are the inner surfaces. And so if I just click, and I did modify the loft settings, so I don't know what kind of a weird thing we're going to be creating here, but I guess I could just create another Luft. Loft. There it is. So, and that can create just another geometry inside of that. You know what? I actually like that a lot better. Oh, and the operation is cut on it already, which you can't see. See, it shows cut for me. Yeah, that might be better. Here, you know what? The timeline space usually doesn't go all the way out to here, so we'll do that. And now I think I'm a little bit better incorporated into everything. Actually, can I go off screen? Be funny if that worked. Try to maximize our areas. Okay, yeah, so it automatically chose cut. So that's actually lucky for us. I mean, it's still a little bit awkward. It's still a little bit awkward. That is such a weird looking object. I don't like it. If it would chamfer those edges a bit, I wonder what happens if I try to fillet this. Oh my God, it explodes. It does not know what to do. That's actually a lot better. I'm surprised the software is even able to do that. I mean, that's a little less weird. It looks kind of weird and not right and strange, and I don't know. Why is it bulging? I will not answer that. Yeah, why does it do that? I think it's because I messed with the loft properties. Let's see if I can get it to not do that without blowing everything up. So I'm double clicking on the step and going back in time. So there's how you get it to not blow up. But then I can change that direction. Where's the tool? Oh, there it is. Nope. 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 Okay, never mind. Never mind. When I go to direction, it gets completely cursed. I don't like the loft tool anymore. I think it's a little weird. I don't know if I like the loft tool now. I guess that kind of works. That's a little better. It doesn't come out like it did before. Now, if I click OK, what's going to happen? Yeah, the second loft kills it. So I need to modify the other loft now. And I guess what I need to do is make the top one a direction. Does this one goes, yeah, okay, I can see it now. That's going to be a weird profile though. And it gets real thin right there. See, that's going to always be sort of a cut like that, unless I bring the other one up, which I guess I'll do. So we'll bring this one up a little bit. Click OK on that. Let it make a hilariously thin solid out of it. But then I'm going to do a direction on this one. That's the wrong one. We'll just make sure that that one's up like that. And then redo the direction on this one. Bring this up by a little bit. That's not really doing much to thicken it, is it? Actually, that is. Okay, so like that. Now we've got a situation where the manifold is probably very thin in some areas. I wonder if that's going to create noise. I mean, it is nice and thin, but let's do like a sectional analysis on this thing and do like a diagonal. So I'm going to go to inspect, and then we're going to do a section analysis. And our cut plane, I guess I can choose any of these planes. I would like to have a 45-degree angle plane, but I guess we'll just cut it like that, and we can see what the profile looks like in various places. This is just on the analysis section. It's a very easy tool to use. I mean, I guess it stays pretty thick on that side. That's pretty good. Let's just check out the other plane. Just to make sure that we're not too thin. That is thick as hell. Thick as a bowl of oatmeal. Okay, so now we are going to completely destroy all of this by adding the manifolds and then clearing all the bolt holes. Yeah, this is the amount of... I probably could have chamfered the edges in the sketch to be soft edges down here, and that would have lent to this a little bit more. I mean, the 3D printer is going to have a weird time with that thinness, but I think adding the manifold in there will do weird stuff to it. Should the rectangle extrude down straight? Well, it's gonna have the thing added above it, and then I'm going to build around it. I'm going to cut around the bolt holes, because this is going to be an overhang up here, which is going to be hell. It's just, I just got to deal with it. I mean, if I really wanted it to be super 3D print friendly, I could extrude this face down until it meets. You know, I could do a thing like this. Well, that's just going to have to go to start direction. Start's going to be not object, it's extent type to object to the bottom of this. And then it's going to join. So I could, oh wait, I'd have to recut the inside. Well, whatever. You know, that could have been a thing that I added to the loft. That's too much. That's too much. That's so much plastic. I would rather just deal with supports in that case. No, dealing with supports is probably just the better way to do this. My supports are not great because I print in PETG, which is super duper strong, but also super duper melty. And so when I do supports in PETG, I have to get a big pair of pliers and like rip everything apart. It works, but it's also just a little bit clunky. A little bit clunky. And our complicated loft at the outer edge to that thing just wasn't very good. So anyway, let's get rid of that sketch. Let's not look at that anymore because it shocks and scares us. This is going to be one singular piece of plastic, which it doesn't look like right now, and I could do the appearance menu. It's my favorite menu. But what I'd like to do is incorporate the flanges. So here are the two flanges, and I am going to join all three of these bodies. So I'm just going to hit the combine tool, and I like clicking them from over here, but hit Control and just click all three of these and select join. What that's going to do is it's going to make a complete mess out of my entire thing. All of my screw holes are going to be messed up as a result of this because we're joining all these things together and they just don't really mesh all that well. But that's fine. We need to actually go in now and figure out how I am going to bolt these two together. And it looks like these outer bolts are going to be just fine. They'll have plenty of clearance. These are going to be a problem, capital P problem. These aren't exactly going to play well with any of the other stuff that we're going to be putting in here. Now I could access these from here and I could clean them up and sort of open them up and try to get to them properly, but it might be something that I just am unable to do. These, I think what I'm going to do is make these so that the bolt grips them, so that I'm bolting, and maybe I'll ignore this one and just fill it in. And I could go to ones like this one here, out here. Because this stuff doesn't weigh all that much. I really don't need to use these giant bolt holes for everything. I could just use these 4 little perimeter holes to hold everything up. I mean, that'll be just fine. Take a look at the fan again. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Those didn't need to be different sizes either. That's the weird part. These are supposed to be the same size. So let's fill in these giant ones. And this will just be like a big plate with 4 holes in it. And I've got these 4 perimeter holes. I don't know what's going on with this. This could have been an email. I probably should push the loft up a little bit. Yeah, so it's on top of this object, and then it closes it a little better. That's probably a better plan. All right, so let's undo the joining, the great joining. And if I bring back the manifolds here, well, if I move them up each by 4 millimeter, that's going to move everybody in conjunction with one another. That's not really what I wanted. here it meets up nicely to the perimeter of the fan, so I kind of like that. I think I kind of want to keep that. It's a little awkward over here, but I think that's good. This one, I really could lift it by like a millimeter, 4 millimeters. But if I lift it, that's going to change everything. I don't think I can offset with the loft. I can change where the sketch is, but our sketch is locked into the very bottom of that plate. So I think we need to... Oh yeah, no. Here, bring the fan over. The fan has many different holes. These should have been the same size. I mean, using these would be another way to do it, but I think just that one there is all we'll need. This is like moving all over the place. Hold on, I've got too many... I have so many things stacked up on my desk. Too many things, and everything is loose. There we go. Okay, so yeah, these are the giant 200 millimeter fans. I was going to use this to exhaust air from the shop. Well, like during a brew, so that I could get all the moist air out of here. But I haven't brewed anything in a long time, and these would be better utilized on wall-mounted PC. So the manifold is going to fit tightly to this edge here, which has a weird little lip on it, and then loft to the two radiators. And we're going to do a push-pull configuration with these so that they don't need to do a whole lot of work in order to get air through all those fins. It'll be a hell of a thing when the computer spools up. If I start up like a AAA game, this is going to make like a windstorm next to me. Although big fan equals quiet is sort of the premise of the whole thing. That's sort of the premise of this whole thing. And you know, we get to muck around in Fusion for a little bit. I didn't know Noctua was making Honda radiator fans. Honestly, I wish I could do that, except for the fact that the radiators are all aluminum, and so it would cause like a horrible half-cell reaction with all the copper, because these radiators that I'm using are apparently copper in the middle, and then I have nickel plating on everything else. So I wonder what that... Well, okay, so some of the other radiators, some of the other finned things in my system are copper, but I've nickel plated it. And that's what sort of the EKWB stuff is. So if I put an aluminum radiator in there, it might half sell the whole thing. I wanted to do like just like an electric car fan and an actual car radiator, because Honda has some little radiators. That would be really funny for a computer build. So does Loft allow me to offset? I don't think it does. Oh, there's sectional analysis built into it. Whoa. All these analyses. Whoa. What is zebra analysis even for? What is that? What am I looking at? What is zebra analysis? What? It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Dun 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 dun. Da, 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 da. Oh wait, that's the cut. Am I looking at? Yeah, I'm looking at the cut. Cancel that. I want to look at the loft, and of course you shouldn't have any of the bodies present when you're doing this stuff, because it'll fuse things together for you. Oh, takeoff angle. Maybe that's not it. Take off weight. I don't have any rails. No, I don't think I can do an offset. I would have to build an offset sketch. I made this in wood. Yeah. Yeah, what does zebra analysis do? Yeah, like I don't mind that part. It's just down here where it attaches to the radiators itself. I could, what's that, lines and squares? Zebra analysis shows if your piece will escape from the lines or not. That's, if your piece will actually blend in with a field full of your piece if they're individually identifiable. Yeah, I don't know if I like any of this. I could detach the sketches and attach them to the bodies that I've created. It'll make things a little awkward at the dinner table and Thanksgiving, but I think it may be the way that I need to go with this. So if I take my sketch 5 and 6, and I take body 1, sketch 6, what can I do here? Move to group, edit sketch, redefine sketch plane, and I set it to the bottom of this. Click OK. So now the manifold is going to go up to that, although that means that there will be a little bit of an overhang over here, but we can extrude something onto that to kind of close it up and make it look right. And then we take the other one and I redefine sketch plane and I put it on top of this. So now our planes have moved in without moving any of our other objects. And now, if I bring back the loft, it is now sitting on top of our two parts. And now when we edit it, it'll just be editing the loft. And now, number 1, the loft. Right. Well, that's a lot more in line with what I wanted to do. And now we just need to cut out some pieces here in order to make bolts on the sides happen and stuff like that. So we'll do a just like a trough around it, and then we can extrude like a 4mm sidewall up. These I do not know if we can get to. We may need to. Well, actually, I could probably do one of them. It would be nice to sort of cinch up the inside holes here, just so that it doesn't, if it like bows at all, it's not visible. In terms of like airflow, it's not really going to matter that much. This isn't a car. We don't need to worry about that level of things, but we can get to, here, let's do a ooh, okay. So that's going to be kind of a weird cut. That's kind of a weird cut. This one from the outside, what would that look like? There would have to be just like a big hole right there, so that one's not going to work at all. This one, we can have it cut in minimally on this part, and I think that'll be okay. Although it'll be a whoosh. That'll be a place that'll encourage a whoosh to happen. This one, of course, can completely cut in there. That's totally fine. Let's improve our chamfers. Doesn't let me do 5. I guess I could go into the drawing and add a swoosh to that, and it would soften up those edges a little bit. Yeah, let me try that. I'm going to go back to the sketch for the bottom loft. Ah, crap. All this, see, the problem with selecting that is that all this crap came with it. It's got all this stuff that I didn't need. But if I add an arc, no, I'm not going to do that. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I guess I could just leave it alone, I suppose. What about adding a... Nope. Want it to go the other direction. Chord length? I don't even know. It doesn't interpret this as wanting to go from that to that. It can't figure it out. Oh well. Oh well. LOL. Did I select the right one? Just trying to kind of like bleed one into the other, but it doesn't let that happen. Okay. And then the other awkward place is right here. And what I can do is just extrude that edge. Nope. Okay. Extrude this. Oh, we haven't joined them yet. I see what's going on. So yeah, let's join all three of these. Actually, before that, I should go back to where I'm making body one. That would be here. Nope. No. Finish. We did the extrude step, not that. I want this step. And we'll deselect all of our, or I'll hit Control and I'll add in the holes that we're not using. A lot of clicking today, especially when you use these models that are kind of comprehensive. Like I can utilize all of these holes individually. It would be kind of neat, but when you've got all these little geometries in here, it really requires you to click quite a bit in order to create things. All right, so now we've only got those 4 perimeter holes. Let's just check on the diameter of those. These should be like 3.8 for me to get an M4 bolt in there. 3.8. Okay, so yeah, we did take that down to 3.8 specifically to cater to the threads of the bolts that I want to use. And since those can go through the whole thing, they'll have plenty of clearance. Boy, oh boy, this outer piece just doesn't look good. And I guess it never was gonna look good. Maybe once we add in these bolt holes, it'll look a little better. Or maybe I just extrude this up through the thing. That doesn't work. Wait, what am I talking about? I mean, this little overlap in this corner would be something that I want to close up. If I could. I can probably extrude it to, maybe not both though. If I close them up in here, see the loft didn't like the weird shape of the, of that stuff. Didn't like the weird shape. Plus, I can't get to the bolts on the outside, only on the inside. All right, so let me make the clearancing things on this. It's very strange. Because really, we should be meeting up with the inside geometry. We should be meeting up with this stuff. Because we want air to smoothly go through the whole thing, but in the end, I don't know, it doesn't matter that much. Okay, so back to this sketch. Let's see, for this piece. And what I want to do is make the perimeter for the bolt head. So let's go to, where are we going to? The calipers, and get a bolt. I need my generic bolts that I use on everything, these little kits that you buy. We won't get fancy. I don't need countersunk stuff. These are all M3, that's the wrong size. We need M4, which is way down here. Actually, where did they go? Oh, here we go. So, let's see. Oh, got to bring you guys over to the desk here. This is an M4 bolt. These can hold quite a bit of force, and they slide right through the bolt holes on the fans. So they're nice and big and boisterous. I don't know what size the holes are for the radiator. Let's just check. I kind of want to make this all the same hardware, so if I have to drop down a size, I'd like to know now. These look like they're the same. These holes were based on the 3D model, but I guess what I can do is before editing, let's finish the sketch and let's just measure the radiator, the XT45. I wouldn't suggest buying this radiator. It's just what I had for that computer project. And so these, I don't know how representative these are of the bolts that are in there, because that outer perimeter is an M4 size, but the inner is probably more M3 size. This is diameter 3.4. And the second one is 2.4. So it could be an M3, it could be an M4. Let me just go check with the computer build. Oh, let me get my cable off of the light here so I don't blow up my whole shop. And check to see, what are your M3s? Yeah, they're M3s. The bolt head is much smaller. Our stuff needs to be that larger size because obviously we are using those threads to sandwich everything, but we're going to have M3s on one, M4s on the other. Whoops. But they'll all be from the same kit, so at least I can measure these and know what's what. What is what? All right, so these are M3s, so let's get the radiator out of here first of all. This isn't a very good design. I don't like this. I maybe need to learn a thing or two about a thing or two and kind of come back to the CAD stuff, see if I can't come up with some better ideas. And it's possible that what I could do is actually lift this up a little bit more. That actually, maybe that's what I should do. Clearance the screws inside and out and then manifold it. And then the inner manifold, well, but then the outer manifold is on the other side of these. Inner manifold over there, and then it becomes this big weird shell. But the lofting tool wasn't helping me do that. Oh, I don't know. What do you guys think? It's kind of clunky, isn't it? I'm gonna maybe come up with a different loft. I don't like it. Because maybe it should be one big piece of plastic, and that way I wouldn't really need any supports when I'm printing. Instead of just going manifold to manifold, it would have sort of this awkward thickness to it. Let me try. That's what we're all about here, right? All right, so we got rid of that. I guess I'm going to get rid of the sketches and like as a whole. I'm just going to delete them. We're just undoing all the work that we've done up until now. It's just I didn't like what I was seeing. Now that we know what holes we want, I can make sketches around that, and then we'll have shapes that we want to join together. And maybe I can ease one into the other. So I'm going to create a sketch here. On top of this piece of plastic that defines where all the air stuff is. How big are those fans? They're big. They're big fans. These are big fans. These are 200 millimeters. Noctuas. I don't remember what I paid for them, but this was before everything got expensive. I've had these fans for several years. They haven't even been out for several years, but I have had them for a little bit. This frame was supposed to go in the window and exchange the air in the shop for other air. They're pretty cool though. They're giant Noctuas, and they are quiet as all heck. They are quiet. So yeah, okay, so back to this thing. And let's get rid of this body, top one. So this one, I've got this inner perimeter, and then these I want to be in the inner perimeter. The bolt head, if we're going to add a sketch line to this is actually good because this is everything that I need right here, except for this inside piece, but we'll put something in there. It'll be just like a plate. We're basically looking at this on the 3D printer right now, and we're going to print upwards towards my face. So if I were to put a bolt head on this, this would be the M3, and the M3 is a bolt size of 5.5. And does it fall through this hole? So the M3 could technically hold this fan onto the plastic, although I don't know how much I trust that. It's a much smaller bolt head. I probably want to go to M4 for the fan. So this one is 5.5. So I'm going to give this a perimeter, a construction perimeter of 5.6, just to see how much space it takes up. So if that's the bolt head, that's what we need to clear above this piece forever. So that's the opening there. How would we do? I wouldn't do both of them. I don't think that's really necessary. Not that one. We're doing this one. Non-construction, 5.6. Now, I could have that as just a sunk hole in the material. Maybe that's the way that we do it. I'll go from the outer edge of this to the outer edge of that, and then I'll go from the inner edge of this to the inner edge of that, and then we'll just combine them, and then it'll be this huge, thick manifold that I will just put a hole into. So maybe we do both. Maybe we do. We'll make that 6, just because I don't want to capture the screw. If our material is going to be solid, I might as well just make it a 6. And these will be extruded later, but let's just give them our 6 perimeter. 6 perimeter, dude. We're going to bolt this thing all up. It's going to get all bolted up. All bricked up with bolts. Wait, no, that's not. That's what are the kids saying? So that's a 6mm diameter there. 6mm. You know, these seem more like they're tutorials, don't they? But it's not like I'm filling the time completely full. Sorry, listen, I gotta get out of my own head. That comment kind of got to me. It's like, this guy just talks for 5 hours. What the hell? Which, I shouldn't listen to that stuff. You know, they're funny. They're fun to show, but that stuff gets under your skin. And you start thinking about like, well, what did that viewer expect from me? So I'm going to do a slot. Slots are very important. We're going to go, I guess, center to center. We're not going to do center point. We want center to center because we want the slot to go just out of our perimeter here. It doesn't matter how far. So I'll just do 10mm. And then we'll punch in 6 for the diameter. And now we have a body that we can cut upwards with that will clearance our hole. Does it really need to be like that? I could just have it go straight up. It doesn't really need to be a slot, does it? Yeah, I still got it. It's actually still... But then when we do fusion, I can understand why this viewer would be confused, because they're kind of like tutorials. They are kind of like tutorials. Streaming is a different animal, though. Streaming is so much different from, you know, making a cut video. We're going to do the same strategy for these. I'm just going to give them 6mm and we'll see what happens. Because that'll cut out, but it'll be accessible from wherever I cut it from. These will just be straight up cuts so that we have this remaining material down here for the screw to grip. And then the rest of it is just, it's just going to be a punch out from the geometry. Because when I'm streaming, I'm working with chat. I hope that's clear. Sometimes I don't like listening to you guys, but you guys will come in with suggestions that are genuinely way more intelligent than anything that I could ever figure out on my own. This isn't just me showing you my techniques. This is me working on this project with you as my witness. Bear witness. Holy calamity, stream insanity. All you ever gonna be is another great fan of me. Break! Bom, 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 bom. These are just to soften the look of the whole thing. $10mm is a bit much. Let's give it 5. Let's give it 9. 89, 2, 12. 7, 13 is a good number. 6mm chamfers. 6mm for that soft Apple phone look. Oh yeah, that's so technological. Okay, so there's our sort of way too many things that I need to click surface in order to get a loft going. On the fan, we are pretty much locked into our geometry. That's this body. There's not really much that I can do or want to do with this, although I could. No, because it's this punch out on the edge here that I sort of don't have anything to do with, right? Like, I could make this a square that goes all the way out to here, but then there's like weird overlaps and stuff. And hopefully, I mean, we assume that my CAD program can actually interpret these complicated shapes and sort of sweep one into the other. But far be it from me to be able to get these things right. So let's try an outer shell loft. Create Luft. A loofah. You know, if I gave this if I gave this rails to follow, that might help. Maybe not though. So, okay, let's add a profile and we're going to do this. Oh, here's a problem. I can't select any of this stuff. And the sketch is above it. Okay, so wait a minute. We're not lofting from the profile. We're lofting from the sketch. Wait, is this one? Oh, wait a minute. So that sketch is sitting on top of it. And that sketch is invisible. I see. Yeah, get the manifolds out of here. Danger to them. Wait, where's my circle sketch? What? Wait. What's it? Huh? Wait, blah, blah. Where did my circle sketch go? Did I rewind time too far? I was worldoed and everything went terrible. No, the world just pauses. Okay, so I gotta remake the fan sketch. What the heck? That is amazingly annoying. Oh yeah, that's right, I did that intentionally. Create sketch. Okay, so now let's just grab... This thing goes away. Oh no, we're done. That's all I needed to do. That's all I needed to do. Okay, now I have both of the sketches that I can actually loft to and fro. As I loft to and fro. Okay, so we're going to take the entire area here. So create loft. Add the loft. This. All of these little bastards in here that would otherwise confuse the loft. There's probably a way that I can select this better, but I will just simply click 10,000 things. It's adding all these profiles. Wait, Control Z. Oh, the whole tool went away. Great loft. I think I need to hold down Control while I'm doing it, and then it'll not create. Yeah, it won't. It'll count these all as the same profile. Hold down Control. Most of this CAD stuff, you measure something with a pair of calipers. You put the calipers down on the desk. You put your measurement into the CAD, and then you click 10,000 things individually while holding down a keyboard button. Boop, 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 boop. I could probably get really fancy with this and unview one of the sketches and then click and drag from the left to the right. Wait, that's not, it's adding all these profiles. Wait, why is it doing that? Each time I'm clicking, it's adding these profiles. This is not a lofting profile. I want to add all of this stuff at once. I mean, maybe we need to do like a 1mm extrusion from these, and then I can loft them more easily by just clicking on one thing. It keeps adding them to that dialog over there, and I wanted these all to be the same profile. These are all the same profile that I'm lofting together. Wait, does the multiply button, is that what does it? I see. Okay, that did it. If I hold shift. Oh, so add it and multiply it are two different things. Shift key is combining them. Although I don't really know if I should be hitting, I don't know if it's the having clicked the multiply button or having held the shift key. I don't know which one is doing it there. Shift is really what you click in order to tell you want to do an orbital move with the mouse. So I don't know if that's doing it. Plus, so now this is profile 2. And now I'm going to hit multiply. That didn't, no. What the, no. Okay, yeah, shift click adds it to the profile. Wait, what did it do on the inside then? Oh, weird. It only did one surface. Huh? Okay, hold on. Not done yet. Holy calamity, scream insanity. There. Okay, so now I have my solid loft for the outside. That's looking pretty tight. I like that. That did way better than I thought it would. Look at that. Beauty. Oh, that's nice. That is, I did not expect that to work out so well. You guys want to see it? That's a much better loft than what we had before. It seems like the complexity of the two geometries worked together and it made a nice shell out of the whole thing. So let's get that inside. So the inside is going to be a separate body, so bonk, and then hit the loft tool again. So this is working out. We've kind of figured out the loft tool now. We have used the loft tool in the past. We just haven't done as well with it. We've done much simpler stuff. We made a simple 140 millimeter fan to radiator adapter because I had like a larger radiator than the fan for the streaming computer, and it worked out really well. So okay, there's our second loft. Click OK on that one. Now without the two manifolds visible, I keep things hidden so that Fusion doesn't join them together, because Fusion likes to join things together based on what's visible. But we have our inside and our outside loft. So if I bring this one back, we can actually use the, whatever it is, the combine tool for these two. And we're not joining, we are deleting. We're deleting it. Click OK. And then we have a very strange shape. A very strange shape indeed. And somehow these are meeting up together. Oh, it's going to take me a while to get in here. Come on a walk with me, chat. Let's walk ourselves over to this shape. That is very strange. It looks like it looks like it's under a lip, but it's not. It's so weird. So there's a lot of material in here, and that'll be mostly infill. But we will add a screw hole tower to it. So what I'll do is I'll bring back... Actually, no, we won't add a screw hole tower because we've got... Well, no, I'm going to need a little bit more thickness out of the screw hole. So yeah, probably. But that'll be what you screw into for the fan. So that'll hold the fan on with a 4 millimeter bolt. But now we need to actually make bolt head holes for these. So I'll just take... Let's just find out what it looks like here. Yeah, those are a little ridiculous. I think we should only take the one. And we don't need to give it a fancy trough. We'll just give it that punch through all the way through everything. So before we do that, let's attach our manifold to everything else. And danger to the... Yeah, it's not so bad. I mean, it could be a little softer, but the important part is that the inside pieces here are going to like push the air out of the way and make it go where it needs to go. X in the property box is remove, not multiply. Ah, geez. How much of a delay are you watching on? Wait, so by removing all those profiles, I somehow combine them together? What is that? Wait. Because I hit X on the whole thing, and it just worked. That's weird. What's up, Agilos? Agilos. Agilos. Agile OS. Agile OS. Why did it go all the way to the corner like this? Because I didn't give it the 6 millimeter chamfer, because that came later. Hey, Tequin Dragon. Thank you for the sub. How many subzoozles is that? That would be 16 months. Where is that time gone? Holy crap on a stick. Okay, so I got a little problem over here in the corner. Got a little corner issues. And the problem being that the sketch didn't contain the chamfer. So what I can do, let's go back into this, I guess, and just redefine that chamfer. Or can I do that? Ha-ha! Timeline, bitch. Look at that. Oh, another sub. Tequin. No, that's why not because. Why not because for 5 months with a Prime? Hey, they are rebranding Prime, and I don't know what that means for Prime subs. I know Prime subs are going to be like grandfathered into the new thing. I don't know if they're going to call it something else. The email was not as clear as I think it really could have been on what they were doing about Prime. They're changing something. They're probably just changing the name of it. That's sort of what it seems to be. And the people who have Prime will continue to have Prime subs. But keep in mind, Twitch doesn't remind you of the Prime sub. I think mine is still floating. I used to sub constantly to Adam Johnston, but anyway, mine is lapsed. I got to figure out what to do with it. If your Twitch Prime is connected to Amazon, if your Twitch is connected to Amazon Prime, there we go. You get a free sub on Twitch, and I don't know what the state of that's going to be in the future because they're trying to push like their gaming stuff or something. I don't know what that's going to lead to, but that's for people who want to connect in the future. If you've already connected everything, you can use that Prime sub on anybody you want. You could use it on the Mr. Copper. Actually, I don't think the Mr. Copper isn't affiliated with Twitch. You can use it on anybody who's... Thank you for your contribution. You can use it on anybody who's affiliated on Twitch. So some of those smaller streamers would really appreciate if you would give them a normal value of subs. Thank you for the Prime normal value. Boy, I didn't think at my level, like we got 36 people in here, right? It's kind of a middling, low number of people, which it still puts you in the top 10% of viewers on Twitch having this many people. But where like at the level where if you mention Prime, people just sub with Prime. But it just happened. Lines and squares, it's proof of this. Behold the power of light. Yeah, if you say idea in chat, this light, the idea light lights up. That also gives me an indicator of a couple other things, but desk space is at a bit of a premium. All right, anyway, back to what we were doing. We were trying to clearance all of our bolt holes and make things look okay. Yeah, 200 millimeter China cheesy popcorn. And short lurker, what the? Oh, you guys with your primes. What the heck? This is more primes than anybody has any right. Thank you guys. Hey, thank you very much. Short lurkers is a 75-month. I've been streaming for too long. And cheesy popcorn's got a baby. Where's your baby? Look at the baby. Yeah, these are 200 millimeter Noctuas. I bought them as exhaust fans for the get a prime number of Prime subs. You should have seen the sub earlier for hold on, for a Bridgewater. A Bridgewater had 60 months at tier 1. Oh no, sorry, but a total of 61. So a Bridge Over Troubled Water, a Bridgewater, said that 61 is the 8th. Oh, gift subs. Tequin Dragon. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't think you're supposed to. Tequin, is that right? I always say it wrong. I can't pronounce things. Anyway, a Bridgewater has said that 61 is the 18th prime number, and it's the sum of 2 consecutive squares, 5 squared plus 6 squared. But yet, their sub was not a prime. It's like an old adage. Tequin Dragon. Look at all those gift subs. 5 gift subs and then another one to Piled 3D. But the Lombax Sky, Bananoids, it's sin time. It certainly is. Lost Algorithm and Nosferatu. You folks all get gift subs. Every website's trying to get me to make a pass key using a Face ID. I haven't run into a single one yet, but I haven't been signing up for anything lately. This whole Face ID thing is not a good idea. You should not be giving these idiots your face. I vehemently oppose. So we fixed the chamfer issue by pulling the chamfer step 1 sketch earlier, and Fusion redefined all of the stuff that it was putting together, and it was able to make the loft based on that. Although it may have killed the... Oh no, we didn't have the fill. Sorry, I'm calling it chamfer and fillet. Unfortunately, get mixed up in my head. I don't know how to fix that. Passkeys bypass MFA. Oh Lord, that's a big mess. I really wish the EU would go back on that. It's just these things that are like protect the kids, but you're not protecting the kids. You're making a vehicle by which a huge amount of identity theft is possible. So let's join all of our solids together, and now we've got this one big giant solid. This one I'm going to extend all the way down, even though it's not really necessary. We'll extend these all the way down because we're printing off of the print bed. We just need room for the bolt. And while I could have them covered, well, maybe I will. Where do those get into? Yeah, I guess those would make an airflow hole. So let's just bring them down like, yeah, like 6 millimeter. So they don't penetrate into the inner manifold. Stop making the danger to the manifold joke, bother. It's run its course. I really wish I could bring these in. I don't know why these go at such an angle like this. Probably because of this angle out here, but I wish I could bring these in so that they would sort of vertically figure their way. To be honest, I trust Valve with my data more than the banks. I mean, Valve has had big leaks, haven't they? The jokes will cause danger to the manifold. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Yeah, it's really weird how it kind of... everything angles to that side. It starts okay over here, and then it sort of drifts. Is that... I wonder if that's in the loft command, then. I can manually bring these in. Let's go to orth. Well, that's gonna make it weird. Huh. I guess I'll just have to do it like this. Just lock it in and then pull them in. I can't exactly use sketch tools on this. Whoa, no. What the heck was that? I mean, there is an angle command on this, but I just don't know what it is. We'll just do it manually. Maybe that'll work out. The problem is this is, I want it to be like engineered. I want it to be like the same for all of them. I want them to be vertical, but we don't have sketch tools to do that. They've had leak. The banks have had worse on a weekly rather than decadely basis. It's a bit of that. Bit of that going around. It's weird how it shows all these angles. I don't know why it's doing it like that. Those are okay. And then these are the same. They just kind of like choose to go at the same angle as that other one. But they really should be vertical. That's sort of the better way to do it. You guys did an entire hype train. Oh my God, I'm opening my hype chest. I got a crying emote. Down bad? Oh, Twitch, what is that emote? No. This is down bad. That's not what that means, man. Maybe you want to look it up. That is not, you guys should not be, Twitch Incorporated, you should not be using that phrase. It's not good. Choo-choo, down bad emote. No, don't associate that with trains. No. No. Meow, 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 meow. These are going to be a little uneven. It's going to drive me nuts because this whole thing will not be symmetrical anymore. But that's what you get when you use lofts. What about these? These are like weird. They make all the other geometries change too, because it's all like what are they, like Beziers and stuff. Very strange. I've never really had to do this with these things, but apparently it like, look at that. See, this like spreads them out. You can just be straight across. Don't need to be fancy. Yeah, see, that evens out that outer like tweaking that goes on. Gives it a little bit more space for the curves in these sort of defined face sections. I guess that is how you would usually do it. You'd have them kind of spread out. But I want it to have plenty of space for that sort of outer thing to happen. That's a little weird. Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. I guess that's all right. Kind of strange. All right, let's just accept that into our heart of hearts. Did it move back? It moved back, didn't it? I clicked OK and it moved back. What in the hell? Move that there. Click OK. It just moves it back. What the heck? What are we doing here, Loft? Like, I'm double clicking on the step. Timeline is rewound to this loft. Whoa. That bows it outward. Yeah, this is just how the curves deal with the outer edge. Uh-oh, my computer did not like that. Ew. Cancel. So am I stuck with all these weird stretchy edges? Because I just fixed it and then it undid itself. See, like this one's all weird. This one's kind of smooth. This one's all weird. This one's kind of smooth. It's just this madcap lofting thing that it did. It just decided on a bunch of factors for me. And I tried to correct it, and then it ignored my correction. Why are you like this, CAD? Boy, that right there just really makes it look like... I guess it does go right up to the edge, but it's weird. Gimbal locking, what's that? What are gimbal locking? There are ways to predefine the guide rails with 3D sketches, but every time I've tried it, it just isn't worth it. Yeah, that's the thing. And this is just choosing this mad, uneven... I mean, I could do half and half and just mirror the whole thing. Or one corner and then mirror it in both axes, and then I'd have the same thing in all four places. If I cut this like through the middle, basically through the middle plane two ways, and then I rejoined it all together, I could make all the corners look like this, but then I'd have this to deal with. I want like somewhere in between these two. Darn, I can't do really anything about it. It just decided on these sort of uneven things. When two axes of rotation. Oh, that's different. Isn't that when the thing does like a weird flip? Okay, well, shit. What are the other methods? Guide type. Change the guide type. That doesn't change that. Tangent edges. Oh, here we go. Oh. Changing the tangent edge type is actually what made it even now. It's still lofting outwards, but it's at least... Can you unselect, please? Jeez. Yeah, so one was... Well, my hover over button things I would typically hover over the button and it would tell me what it is, but in dark mode, I don't know if something's happened, so it's not working. So. All right, I need to make those not visible just in case, and just click OK on this. And that should bring us back to having one body. Oh, wow, that looks weird. That is really weird looking, but it is kind of what I was going for here, with a minimal amount of curvatures. With a minimum mushroom man. Yeah, and let's make the other one do the same thing. Just so there's no... Well, actually, the other one has so much going on that I think it did it all the same way. Yeah, it looks like it did it all the same way. It did it all properly. Yeah, the inside is... I guess the inside has more, I don't know, usable features or something. I don't know. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. But it is functional. Yeah, it is functional. So much for fancy. I'm stapling a Noctua fan to it. It's never going to look good. Okay, so we deepened those. Now we need to see about these. So this one here, these inner four, I'm going to take up through the whole thing. And that, you know, that'll be kind of a no-no, but it'll... Here, let's take that body away and hit extrude, and it'll be the outer, it'll be the whole hole, even the inner hole, it'll be the whole thing, because we're clearancing a bolt head. And we'll do it for the outer ones too. We'll do it all with the body missing, and then we will add the body back in. All right, and then let's bring back body one, which will be my 3D print. Yonk. All right, so those are, I mean, they're kind of bad, but they're not terrible. And they'll hold the radiator on. I'll have all the bolts in that way, and then the fan will go plop on top of it, and then, yeah, that'll be that. So let's get rid of the sketches because they're distracting, and we can pull back in the Noctua, and we can pull back in the two radiators, and I still have one feature that I need to add to this thing, and that is a blocker in the middle. I need something that will block in the middle. But since we are considering that this is being printed from the print bed being where the radiators are, although technically I probably could do it the opposite way as well. It would just be a little bit droopy in some areas with PETG. That's just the thing. But anyway, what we can do is we can bring back in our very second sketch. Let me get the fan out of the way, and I can hit E for extrude on this, and this. Make sure that we're connecting to the edge there. And I can take it up whatever the distance was. What was that? Was it 4? 4 is not the height. I can go to object. Oh no, but I don't have an object up there anymore. Interesting. Well, this is 3. Are you 3 or are you 4? I guess I never really get it. Well, I could include some of these in there. Let's just do the outer 4 on this bottom. So we'll fill in that, fill in that, fill in this and this. We really don't need any of these, to be fair. Maybe I will do these, though. Maybe I will do those. So actually, I need to go back to the sketch for that, but I'll just click OK on that. That's a little 3mm. Is that the what? How thick did I make this? Three. Yeah, okay. So that's the same thickness. We just need bolt holes on this. So let's go back to this sketch. No, this sketch. And I'll do some non-construction lines. Oh, I need to project that in. Project my hole. And over here, what was I cutting with in the other one then? Oh, because those are projected from the sketch. Now I'm projecting it from the body. Weird. That's some weird linkaging going on there. That's kind of setting the stage for things to go super wrong if I move something in a way that the CAD program doesn't like. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll just, Fusion will just abandon the projection and use like a reference geometry from inside of the sketch. They'll say, well, okay, from origin, we're this far, we'll just use that and just make it a non-official number. And then you got to go in and use like construction lines to sort of rebuild the position of whatever you had. Hopefully we won't run into that problem. Okay, so now on this extrude. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Wait a minute. Oh, we got to build these. Okay, this creates an interesting little extra problem here where we have sort of the manifold overlap. Thinking, okay, I guess I need to make cutouts for these. I need to make little 4mm cutouts for them. So we'll go back into the sketch and change what we're doing. And instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make actually, yeah, I need 2 slots in order to do this. So let's get rid of this one. All 4, I'll just do them all individually. It's either faster to do them individually or I can create mirror lines in order to create the other ones, but we'll just do these manually. So what these will get is like a slot, basically 2 slots. Create slot, center to center, from here out. So we'll do 15mm, make it flat, and make that 6. And then we'll take an outer radius of 4mm. Well, 3. Why'd you, not 43. 3. 2 milli? Yeah, maybe 2 milli. Currently got my dog on my lap. Hype. Hype. Let's just test that one. Let's make sure that this will work. Where did the work that we just did go? Where'd the work go? I'm not seeing it on the... Oh, wrong sketch. Okay. There's my work. And it's at the offset. It's sitting on top of the manifold right now. So I think what I can do... What type of filament and printer are you going to use to print this? I have a CR10S, if you could see behind me right now. It's somewhere behind the mean comment. It's right there. CR10S, it's just an open frame bed slinger printer. It's got a 310 by 310, I believe, bed. And I'm going to print this in PETG on it's a combination. It's a Creality product that is glass, but with a like a Teflon pattern over top of it. And so you get these little grippy dots on the PETG. PETG grips glass so well that it'll pull up glass fibers, even if you just, because you don't do any, like you clean the glass off, you can print PETG directly on glass. You get a glassy surface. It's a nice reflective 3D printed surface, but PETG will eventually get into those glass fibers and pull them apart. So having the pattern of Teflon on top of it means that it'll come loose from that glass more easily. And I've had this for years. All I do is spritz it with a little Windex and wipe it every now and then. And I've just been able to print after print after print. The only problem is my printer is old and my settings are getting old and it's a little melty. So if I'm not printing something that I can run over with a car, it's not that pretty. It doesn't print very pretty. Okay, so let's bring back in the solid body and just test to see what'll happen if I roll with this. So first I'm going to extrude the whole thing. Not that side, buddy. Excuse me. Extrude this whole thing up. and then extrude this distance to object here. And now our manifold has been closed, and we have a bolt hole on the outside. That, oops, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Time out. I also want this. There we go. What? Bud? Ta-da! So now the 6mm thing is in there. I mean, yeah, it would be great if I could just loft that thing straight up, but that's how we'll do the other ones. I think that'll work out. I mean, yeah, air's going to get into that, and it's going to swirl around and maybe make some noise. I don't know. I don't know about that. 4.5 hours is clearly too short of a disassembly video. Got to play with the plunger for half of that time at least. I mean, I disassembled it and messed around with the whole thing, and we talked about the engineering that went into it. That's sort of the whole purpose of those videos. That person just didn't get it. If I were like an aeronautics engineer, maybe I would want to create some kind of like a loft surface in the middle here so that it would split up the airflow. But since I'm an electrical engineer, I'm going to have that fan yeet directly down onto the... I could have it loft out from the center position and try to direct the air in either direction. I'm an electrical engineer. I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. Beyond doing the outside edge. Because like the Noctua, the Hawktua fan, I hate that joke. If I had the 3D mouse working, it has this giant brushless rotor in the middle that could maybe loft out to that other surface, and then I would do the same thing with the bolt holes going up through it, and it would maybe cover over some of this stuff over here so that I could do the egress of those bolts. Oh, that's so much. Do I really do that? Should I really do that? No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Why does this keep doing that? There we go. Just send it. Yeah, I should just send it. It would be funny, though. It would be funny to do this crazy loft section in the middle that helps direct all the air to where it should go. None of that's going to matter. It's just high pressure, low pressure. Maybe at a later date I could do that, which means no. It would be funny. That is true. That is true. Let me first do these bolt holes for the radiator, and then I will have one complete thing, and then we can think about making a center lofty piece. Not send, cut, send. Although if you're watching send, cut, send... No, I don't have the project. Maybe when I have a project car, I'll want to do that. It'd be so awesome, though, to have a send, cut, send sponsor. That would be very, very cool indeed. All right, let's go back to the sketch, and let's add our troughs, our 15mm troughs. Slots, rather, sorry. Call them troughs for some reason. 15 by 6. And then outer perimeter of 3. Do we 3 or 2? 2, okay, 2mm. I'll do that over here. Create sloot. (15, 6) outer perimeter 2, and then create a sloot 15 by 6 outer 2. Cool. Finish. And then take this step and do it to this one, this one, this one, and bring the body back in so it knows what it's cutting. Bonk. And then this one, so our other test, grab you, you. Does it know what to do? No, it doesn't know what to do on that. Okay, so do that one, and then I need to do a new extrude, because it's going to a different body. So this one and this one, I go for the distance, I go to object, and then it'll meet that with everything, and that's a join. Okay, so technically that works. That'll hold on to everything. These got extruded. Yes, they did. So those are their own little bolt holes on the sides there. The slot was not really necessary for this. I just did it because it was fun. Trying to think of a project that would think worthy of sponsoring. Yeah, I don't know. If only PCBWay was still doing Twitch sponsors. Yeah, did I get contacted by PCBWay? I'm not sure. I might have been. I don't think I was. I don't remember. So before I do all that, this is where I'm extruding that. So if I rewind over to here and I do a loft, I mean, I can loft from that object. Oh yeah, see, that whole thing is selecting in the sketch. Can I just loft from face to face? What if I go, oh, wait a sec. Oh yeah, there's one more step, yeah. Oop, okay. That's gonna create some weird stuff going on in here, so maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should not do the center loft. It's, resolving those two things together is going to be kind of a strange loft. Because it would have to like meet up to this circle here, but then also to the center. That's a little too weird. 1/5 scale car engine bay PC. The original thought for this PC was that I was going to have the two radiators like at an angle, and it would look kind of like an engine block. It was just going to be kind of a funny thing. Yeah, I don't know. Lofting the center. Like if I cut here, and then lofted that to the center circle, and then softened up the... No, we don't need that. This is our manifold. I've created the part. The part is done. Oh, wait. Not quite yet. But there we go. Now the part's done. That's a lot of screws to go in there, but you know, whatever, I guess it's all right. And then I guess what I can do on the other part is create 4 legs on the outer perimeter, but I'll do that from the other side. In order to make the other one, I'll just mirror image this one onto the other side of the radiators. So let's go ahead and do that now. I guess we're ready to do that. Crazy. So this is fan adapter top. Far be it from me to judge who is what, but this one is indeed the one that goes on top. So that one's there. I could write Twitch TV, oh bother. I could write something on this surface. It's just this big flat surface. I'm like, what do I do about this? When I print this on the print bed with PETG, what I'll need to do is make sure that I wait for the part to fully cool, because glass and PETG cool at different rates. PETG will contract by about, I think it's 3%. When it does that, it'll pull on the glass and it will detach itself without warping. You got to let it cool on its own, or else if I try to get in there and poke under it and peel the thing off quickly, it will warp, and then this thing will be all weird. And I don't want it to be all weird. We're already weird enough as it is. What clearance am I going to need for these things? That's the second part of this. Okay, let me get the calipers, and I'm going to measure one of my hardline fittings on these actual radiators. And I think I gave it an even distance between the two radiators. They pretty much cover the whole fan. So let's see, those are back here. And that's this big fitting, and there's a huge air bubble right there. Oh my God. All right, so bare minimum 24.4. so we need a 25 millimeter clearance on the back end there so that my water cooling fittings can actually fit. So, oop, there's a little fluff floating around. I'm gonna go back to the latest bottom piece sketch, I guess that one. I'll project more stuff into it. Where are we? Click on the home button. There we go. Go back to orthographic view. There we go. Sometimes things just get kind of confused. All right, so we're going to project the inner circle here. Oops. These are like our final clearances. And we'll give each of these a 25 millimeter, even though it's 24.4. And give it just that little bit of extra. Yeah, see how far that cuts in. Yikes. That almost cuts into our manifold. Huh. But only the top piece needs these. So I'm going to do that in a separate sketch. Maybe I'll do the mirror imaging first. Of course, that means I need to set a plane in the middle of this thing. Let's see how far in that cuts. Yeah, that's a cut and a half, isn't it? Oh yeah, there's a little gap right there. Oh no, we're gonna lose all of our air through here. Oh no. I'll put a piece of foam on that or something. Let's just see what it looks like. Symmetric. Bring that up. Cut. Why are you not cutting? No target body. Oh, because I didn't select the overlap right there. That's not so bad. If you use the proper amount of gasket maker, you never have to take any of this apart ever again. I could also use dual lock on it. That'd certainly do a number. I know we're violating the manifold over here. I'm not gonna extrude into this area because that ruins our ability to print on the flat bed. What a strange thing you've created. Okay, so before I do that, let's take away these because I forgot them. Where are we going to do that? Let's extrude this and this. We got to get these edge pieces. Sometimes Fusion gets a little confused as to how far away you're actually viewing everything from, and so it changes the scroll settings. I guess clicking on something helps fix it, but while you're in a 10,000 click operation, it messes with you. There you go. Okay, so far here's our manifold. Now this will fit on the bottom side. We probably should have started on the bottom side, but before I do the extrusion for the water cooling fittings, I guess, well, if I use different fittings on this thing too, I guess it could fit a little tighter to this as well. Like if I did hard fittings to do the sort of U-neck right here. Although I could just learn how to actually bend PETG and do it the proper way. But if I put right angle fittings right on the end, how much do those stick out? Do I have a right angle fitting? I think I've used them all up. Oh, here we go. Here's one that I can measure. So those are 20 millimeters. Wait, how is that 20 in the other one was 25, right? Yeah, 24. So it's 20 versus 24. If we go to 24 millimeter fittings, and that means I'd have to use like a right angle fitting on this stuff here, then I wouldn't have to open them up at all. I did kind of want to use the PETG, but this is too tight of a bend between those two radiators. That's going to be too tight. I'm not looking forward to putting this thing together because when I do that, I have to fully take down the computer until I'm done. So I want to do all of the little due diligences in these designs so that we don't have to go back and iterate, which is what we call effing up as an engineer. We call that iteration. So what I can do is I'm going to add a plane to this thing. So I need to construct, and I need to do a mid plane. Can I do that like this? No, that would be a mid plane on that. That's not what I'm doing. Okay, what's the height of this thing? Just this face I need to know the height of. 38. So 19. Ugh. God, 9s and 7s. Plane through 3 points. Maybe we can do... Oh, it's not helping me at all. Bud, can I choose the center of this face? No, okay, all right, no. Plane along path. No, that's not my tempo. I mean, if I did an offset plane... Plane through 2 edges. What would the two? No, that's not it. I'm trying to base it on the radiators because the radiators are presumably symmetrical, and that's what I would be mirroring off of. And if I move the radiator, then the mirror positions and stuff like that will move with it. So it's a little less prone to blowing up. Although these two radiators are now completely married to the distances they're at. If I moved one in the timeline in slightly, things would go awry, and basically I would have to go through many steps, all the stuff that we've already done, in order to correct all of this stuff, because it's all got like it's based on like one anchor point or one projected point or something like that. So what if I move them on the z-axis? The whole thing explodes. So yeah, it's some crazy things. But what I really want to do is mirror this on the middle of these two parts. So if I offset a plane, but I don't have... See, if I'm offsetting a plane, I would offset it from a line, but then it doesn't know what axis the plane's supposed to be in. And I would need the plane to be here, which would mean measuring... So if I measure from here to here, that's 41, so 20.5, and then I'm going to make an offset plane from here, negative 20.5, and then I'm going to grab body 1, which I remember renaming, and it didn't stick. Fine, whatever. Right click. Maybe right click was a mistake. I think I've made a huge mistake. Create. Mirror. Oh, body 1 was already selected. So the mirror plane, this guy right here. Click OK. Bada bing. So now we've got our second body that we will modify in order to connect to the everything else. But actually, I'm going to need a fan on that too, so that I know that the distances are kosher. So let's take this guy up here. I don't know what this does. If I do mirror on that, if it's going to create a copy, or maybe we should just do a move copy. And I can take whatever distance from, let's get the Noctua out of here again. Actually, I could do a point-to-point move. So I can bring this back in, bring that out, and then we can do a move. We'll just do a move copy out here. It's bad form, but whatever. Now it selects bodies for me. You want to select components, this guy, and then click create copy. Now, when I go to point move, what's going to happen is it'll undo my clicking of create copy. This is one of the more frustrating things. No, mid-plane didn't work because it wouldn't be the mid-plane of the face. Am I correct about that? Origin point. I kind of want it to move like above because there's the rubber thing there. Here we go. We can use that. So this to this. And now we've got our copy fan in there and we can see what the dimensions are like with everything else. So this would be rad fan top and rad fan power bottom. Okay, there you go. Boop, boop. This is our space age radiator adapter assembly. Call Apollo 13. We are ready to send this over to them. The midpoint between two faces. Oh, yeah, I did want a midplane then. Well, this is the same thing because you can see it lines up perfectly. So we're just going to leave that in there. I didn't know it was between two faces. This is a nightmare. This is a computer nightmare is what this is. This is what I've constructed as a computer nightmare. Maybe if I was more of a structural and aerospace style engineer, what I should do is put the two fans horizontally with the two radiators vertically in the middle and make a manifold that goes over to the top and the bottom like a yin yang kind of thing. But this keeps the radiators parallel to the wall so that the bubbles go up and out. That's the whole point. We're trying to keep boobles from ruining our day. Let's get some of our stuff back in here and see where this lies. Why is half of my crap invisible? Our analysis plane is still active. Look at the analysis. Oh my God. This thing is way too tall with everything else. I think maybe, I don't really want the power supply to be all the way up there, but then this will not fit with every, God, this thing is like a hulking giant compared to everything else in this build. You have potential as an architect. The design looks very modern. Ugh. It looks like shit. Look at it. It's bigger than a car radiator. Maybe I'm just doing one 200mm fan on this thing. Certainly can't do them side to side. Maybe I should make it a triangle with the two 200mm fans. I think maybe push-pull is asking a lot. Push-pull may be asking quite a bit from this thing. Maybe we just do one Mahusive radiator and then I can lower this whole thing quite a bit. That may be the way that it needs to go. What do you guys think about that? Obviously it's clipping in right now and I need to move everything, but I'll do that later. Maybe just one big fan. These things move a lot of air. Should be able to move quite a bit of volume of air through these things. Yeah, it seems like the bottom is not a good idea. And maybe that just translates into like some feet that I put at the bottom. Loving the RC hovercraft design. Yeah, really. Will it make a lot of sound? No, these things running at full speed don't make that much sound, although the whooshing noises inside of this structure would probably be pretty bad. I mean, obviously, spending $150 to get a properly sized radiator would be the best way to do this, but I can't be asked to buy the proper size radiator, so instead, I'm going to put just the biggest damn fan that I could find on the outside of this thing. I was hoping to have a push-pull configuration, but it becomes this absolute giant, this weird, huge assembly that that's a little bit unwieldy. So maybe just this and moving it a little bit closer to everybody else. You know, move it down just a little bit. Obviously, it can't be flush with everyone. It needs to kind of be a weird height. Boy, moving that's going to be kind of nerve-wracking. I don't have any locking position steps later on. It's just this one will have to be manipulated in order to move everybody down a little bit. And then I'll create feet from that. Would it be worth turning it sideways to get better airflow? It's bigger sideways than it is tall, I think. Is it? I mean, you're not vertically, you're not going to get better airflow. What you really want to emphasize on something like this is that water bubbles get up through this assembly to the top. Doing it like diagonally, I guess. I'm not going to do that. Diagonally. Yeah, I think this just needs, the whole thing is so thick. You know, you need air, you need room for the air to do stuff inside of here. So we're not just smashing air up against solid things. It's kind of interesting that I didn't do the centerpiece. That would have been kind of neat. But from there, because this will be pulling air through. I'm just thinking it would be nice to be able to move a big volume of air through a big even set of gratings, but this should do all right. This should do all right, right? OctoJ and I did like some BTU calculations on this stuff and figured out that the, oh yeah, let's do this. Boop. That's only one of them. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. Let's get the Mega Bonk music stuck in my head. Come on. If you click and hold, it'll choose the stack of things in view. So the profile is what I want there. Okay, so there's sort of the final one where I can fit the PETG tubing fittings on. But I wonder if I want that whole thing. Because what I was going to do is I was going to model some legs coming down from these area here, like in the middle of these radiators. And the leg would come down and it would interface with the bottom there so that I could screw. Well, actually, it would have to go outwards. It would have to go outwards so that I could get to the riv nut that I'm going to put into the thing. But this assembly is just absolutely ridiculous, which, you know, I could be okay with that. It being ridiculous is not the end of the world, but I think it might be a little too ridiculous. But it will use both of the fans that I have. But that makes it this enormous. The assembly would be like this big. It's like sticking out of my wall. This giant, weird assembly. I could move everyone up to meet up with it, but it's still like, I don't know. I think that's too much. I think what I need to do is just abandon the second fan and see how it works with the one. And if it's struggling, then I can bring this stuff back in. So right now, I guess I'm just going to undo the bottom fan and we will move. I'll keep all this stuff in the drawing just in case. Just in case. But we'll lower this thing down. We'll lower this whole assembly down. So let me go to this step. And I want to move this, this, and this. Not that, no. I got to be real careful with these moves. And we'll move it down. We'll go 20. That should be enough room for air to kind of get sucked in and blown through. Or should I flip the fan and have it? No, it should definitely be blowing through because that way air isn't in my face. Because this will be just to my right as I sit at my desk. So I'll have air blowing to the left on me. No, I don't want that. I would rather it eat the air down and out. Even though the fan's going to get dusty as a result. All right, that should all go through just fine. Yeah, I mean, it's not as cool as having the push-pull, but I guess this will be all right. I hope it'll move enough air. What did it knock to a 200 millimeter fan? Knock to a 200 millimeter fan specifications. The A20. Whenever you're ready to load. The height in luxury air impeller movement specs. Bearing, blade geometry. This is all advertising. 800 RPM. 146.9 meters squared per H, whatever that is. 18 dB. 820 milliwatts? Holy shit. Oh, 70 milliamps? Really? That's not a lot. Max input is 80 milliamps. Wow. That's not a lot. What's up, True Queen? So how much airflow do I need through, what is this calculation? Through two quad 40, or for two triple 45 millimeter radiators. How much airflow do I need to cool all of my stuff? And is 140.9 meters cubed per hour enough? Oh God, I hate calculating this stuff. You know, the best way to do it is just to try. Just try it and see what happens. See if your whole shit blows up. The power supply and the reservoir are kind of a good combo like that. You can turn this reservoir on its side, and it's probably preferable to do that, because then it's any bubbles that you have are moving. Well, there shouldn't be any bubbles at the bottom of the system, but if I do turn this, then I've got two of these vertical shapes. All of my fittings are on this side, the side where I would want this to be facing upwards, because that's the way the reservoir is built. It's got a drain down here, but really you're supposed to, there's like a little cone-shaped thing over the intake to the pump, and that faces left. So I'd want it facing away from the top of the water so it doesn't create a vortex and suck down air. So really this thing should be tilted to the left, which is not good for the rest of this stuff, because that would be a lot of tubes over here. But if I swap the power supply and the radiator, that doesn't really work. Also, that would mean the power cable would be up here. Although, in all fairness, I could run a power cable from this power jack that I put in the back of the original computer. And I can possibly move the computer up. We need to invent brackets for that, for moving the computer up a little bit more from the wall. It'd be nice if it was tight up against the wall, but I'm trying to reuse hardware that I've already built, which is this entire frame here. I hate that this is where things sort of settled in for positioning, because I'm trying to keep the radiators from being at the top. I really want the pump and the radiators to be at a low point from everything else. I'm gonna have all these fans in my face when I use this thing. It really should be, the whole thing should be twisted around so that the computer's on the right, or I need to flip my desk around. Flip my desk around so that the wall's on my left. And then I'll have this thing properly so that all the fans are sort of a little bit behind the monitors where they won't bother me. And then all of the cool computer stuff is right where I can see it. That means that hooking it up would be a little weird. This puts all the hookups on the left, which is where I need them to be. And then all the fans are on the right where they will be facing my face, which is annoying for my wall computer. I got a big old hole in the middle too. But again, I want the pump to be as low as possible so that it always stays with water. And then I want the radiators to be able to transfer bubbles to the next highest point, which means they cannot be in this position. Unless, maybe if I twist the power supply. Everything's going to go weird when I go back to that step. But what I'll do is I'll take this, move it. That doesn't really get me any more room, does it? This power supply is fully square. That doesn't help. What if we trade places? Yeah, so this is somewhere around here. We'll move it out a little bit, like there. And then we move the reservoir, rather the pump. It's really not, it's not that great of a reservoir. No wonder EKWB went out of business, huh? And so now I've got all of my fittings over there. The pump is low, but then it would be better if I could lower the radiators, but I can't really get away with that. And I don't want to put it up there with that other reservoir. Actually, or do I? What if this guy is like there? That's going to look weird. Because then, unfortunately, I did these two move steps separately. Where's my, oh, I don't have anything selected. Oh, I had all three of those they were highlighted, not selected. Yeah, see, these just don't fit together. Well, what if our power supply went up? So this is kind of the best place for me to put those. And let's move the power supply into position. So I got to finish this. That's going to build all of our stuff again. I'm going to this one. Unfortunately, I made an extra step where I moved everything, and I shouldn't have done that. So now I've got to jump between the two. Rotate the radiators 90 degrees with the fittings facing up. Move the center of the board. Move the pump res PSU to the right. What I wanted to avoid in doing that is that what that does is create two U's, because the radiators, unfortunately, I don't have radiators that allow me to hook them together in a sensible way. So what'll happen is a bubble, let's say, will get in and it'll go down and then up, and then it's not really going to want to go back down and then up. So I wanted to have the radiators horizontal so that instead the bubble will go up and then up and then up. So it'll go across, up, across, up, across, up. But yeah, you've got the right idea. That's probably the best way that it would fit. I'll try that in just a second here. I know it shouldn't matter the direction of the radiators, right? But it does in the end, because stuff happens. Yeah. But that might not matter that much. Maybe when I get all the air out, that doesn't really matter. Or I could mount it to the wall vertically. 5 warnings. What did I break? Oh, I broke a lot of stuff. There's some things here that are broken. What happened? I didn't move them in relation to each other. Oh, it left behind my my little things. This is the kind of stuff that'll break your drawing. This will break things. So let's Control Z before we start scooching this around. Going back in time. Dun 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 dun. Da 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 da. Okay, I'm gonna hit save on this before I blow my entire design up. So yeah, Dutch Mania is saying to put them vertically, and that would work really well because that would be in the middle vertical, and then I can have the reservoir on top of the pump. Oh, EK isn't out of business? Didn't they run into a bunch of trouble recently? Are you somehow able to hear me in the backyard? What's going on here? Short lurker is just tuned into that Wi-Fi frequency. Look how far off the pump is going to have to be. So the argument for making this stuff separately, oh, they just had bad money handling, so they've gotten through it. The argument for everything being components, if that radiator assembly were a component, I'd have less trouble moving it around. A lot less trouble moving it around. Oh, I see wireless headphones. Nice. You know, the pump, I could move vertical and move it over to the right a little bit. Although all the cables for the power supply are going to take up this area. The pump being the way that it is right now is not that big of a deal, since I guess a bubble will just travel not to the pump, it'll get stuck. But then I've got all these fittings to deal with it. So if I do the outlet, which is this one, going to the radiators, and then this outlet here would have to go over to the graphics card. I don't really know how. That would be one of the challenges, is trying not to make all of my bends 15 different bends. But then there's also additional cooling. I have a thing that splits the cooling around. So these will be kind of weird things that I need to factor in. And try not to make any high spots inside of this whole assembly. This thing has an inlet and an outlet in a weird spot. Where is that thing? That's not it. I mean, I could do this thing horizontally too. Then it would be like, well, no, because then it would have to be like this if I did it horizontally, inlet and outlet. And then that means that if a little bit of air gets in here, then I could starve the system out way too easily. So it really should be like this with the two fittings on one end, and then I can have an inlet and an outlet on the sides here, and then this would be a fill neck. And so as long as the water level was up here, we wouldn't starve the system out. So I could do down and then in. And I guess I've already positioned it on that side. So the radiator would be up here. So that creates a high spot that I don't want. I definitely need to drop the radiators to be at least halfway up this. Oh man, this is a lot. I've got a limited amount of space that this stuff will fit on. Yeah, so like that needs to come all the way to the, oh, and this is up, okay, so that needs to be flipped too. Let's get that into the right position here. So move this like this. And then I want that fitting to be there. And then what? And then what? I really want the return to go into the reservoir, don't I? You know, EK has done testing and they said it doesn't matter where any of this stuff is located, like in the system, in the loop, because the whole loop is going to get up to a temperature and that'll be that. But I do want to make the pipes make sense. If I flip the pump up vertical, then we've got the two sort of same sizey things in line with one another. And then, I'm out of insulin. Oh my God. All right, so if you guys can hear that constant beep, that is my insulin pump yelling at me that there's no more insulin in my reservoir. So I need to redo the pump. Let's do that real quick. So I'm gonna go on my phone. Oh, it's almost, that's the bell. Pump management, I'm gonna deactivate the pump. That'll stop this incessant beeping. There it goes. We have top case mounted radiators. At least you could purge the bubbles eventually. So the thing with the top mounted radiators, I don't trust those at all. I feel like those will have bubbles in them. And since I will still have some of the components will be silicon tubing, it's still going to let in lots of air, like constantly letting air. That's basically what's happening with my computer right now, and it's catching at the top of the radiator. So I want to stop that from happening. So I really feel like I need to have like an egress for any sort of booblies. They really messed up with that alarm sound. It sounds too scary. That's what I've been saying. It's a very bad alarm sound. It's very dire and horrible. It wakes you up in the middle of the night, which for some people is good. But there was a time when I updated my Android app, and it updated, and suddenly the empty reservoir signal was a beep beep, which was perfect for me. Beep 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 beep. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that now. The constant tone is like, you know, you're in danger. And I guess for some diabetics, that is true. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to end. We're going to put up the end card because I have been going for about 4 hours. That's a decent stream. So we still need to figure out where we're placing all this stuff. What up, Gonad? We still need to figure out where we're placing all this stuff. But we did build in only 4 hours. It took us to build an actual manifold for this thing using the loft feature. And for the loft feature, it helps to simplify all of your stuff. The only thing that I could really comment on not doing on this is doing a loft in the middle here. Okay, where are we? No. Okay. A loft inside of the manifold from the centerpiece to the centerpiece up there. That would have been really cute to do, but it would have been a lot of crazy lofting work to do from this circle here at the center of the fan to sort of the outer perimeter in order to give it like a smooth feature so that the air would be smooth. I don't know. Yeah, app designer. He will be terrified, but he will not die. The person who made the Android Auto Pancreas app is a crazy person, and they have some crazy beliefs, like if the software is out of date, it will stop your loop. It says they do not get to loop. Even if it worked before, we will disable it because there's a new version of the software out, which is mad. That's totally insane. That's completely insane, and I think it's a really bad design for an app. So yeah, we did make the manifold. This is something that I can throw on the printer and I can print right now, and it probably won't need any support material because there's really nothing going on in the center, and I'll be able to get bolts into it so that it bolts up nicely. But I will not be able to mirror it. We can't do a push-pull. I really wanted to do a push-pull, but it's too big. Oh, that didn't move with everything because it's a different object insert. That's weird. I thought it would snap the hole-to-hole, but it didn't snap the hole-to-hole. That's strange. It just didn't consider it a thing. And if I move it again, it's going to create another like lock thing in place step. But we're not doing that. I'm not doing the push-pull. We'll just do the one pull fan, or the push fan. The one push fan, and then we'll have to create another manifold where I just have feet coming out of this thing so that I can bolt it to the to some riv nuts that will be in the base. Then we need to make a power supply adapter. And we need to kind of finalize the position of all this stuff. All this stuff needs kind of a finalized position so that we can make the adapters for them and make it all work. So I will be back tomorrow. We will not be working on this. We'll be working on something else. I'll come up with whatever. There, where's my admin section? I need to make the end card. Because how professional would I be without this end card, huh? Where would all of my professionality be? Tomorrow is 10. To a better 10. Bonk. Okay, so now if I end command, END, and thanks to AutoCAD for, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Just F it, no end card. I just shut it all down. Shut it all down. Hold on, let's, I need to get my frame chat back into position so I don't forget that you guys are supposed to be large and in charge. Yeah, so, okay, we learned a lot about the loft tool today. I will need to figure out, I mean, we're just going to make a basic manifold that'll bolt onto the back here and just have a couple legs. I'm going to keep it simple. I need to keep it simple because I want to get this thing done. and I want to actually put my computer up on the wall. Far be it from me, but I don't believe that I should be 3D printing as much as I am. This whole computer case thing, I will move out to where it matches the height of the rest of the stuff in here. So now that we know what this fan height is, I've got an idea of where sort of my max height is. I may reverse the fan and the power supply and do the vertical reservoir, because if we've got the return, like, well, we're going to have to figure out this loop. We're going to have to do a lot of tests, a lot of reconfiguring on this in order to get this loop kind of figured out. Because I've got all the cables on the left-hand side here. I've got potential for the water stuff to come out of the front of this. There's no, if I do it the other way around, nothing will fit above it. So this is kind of locked in position. That's sort of where it has to be. It would be nice if it was over to the right a little bit more, but that means the cables won't be able to really get to where they need to go. And if I flip it 180 degrees, then the outlet of the graphics card is in a bad place, because EKWB assumes that your graphics card is going to be horizontal, and so bubbles are able to filter around and out and leave potentially even with a vertical fitting. So I don't have that. I have the graphics card and the cable, and it's placed in there in a way that water-cooled graphics cards are placed vertically like this. If I put, like, I don't know, maybe the pump will be able to pump it through, but if we go with what Dutch Mania said and put the radiators vertical in the same way that the graphics card is, then who am I to judge, right? It would have been really nice if it could have been, I don't know. This would be a good screensaver. What, my stream? It's a little too, with the highlighting going on there, it would be a little too weird. I do like the look of Fusion. I think it's a very good looking program, and this is sort of real neat stuff to do with it. I really wish I could completely, completely optimize the positions of everything, but I just don't think that's going to happen. And again, I'm trying to get it together and not dawdle too much. All right, so the next time we work on this, we're gonna start bracketing things out and finalizing positions. We may go with vertical radiators, which could potentially catch air. In which case, maybe I need to have like a fitting there that I could drain air with, you know. So anyway, go to the face cam, punch out the end, boom. I'm gonna be back tomorrow. 20 hours, 6 minutes, 39 seconds. Exactly. My B-Sky was hacked, and it sent a bunch of advertisements and then got destroyed by B-Sky. So you can pretty much find me on Discord. Every other social media is highly toxic to the human brain, so we're not doing those anymore. We're just going to try to keep it small. We're going to keep on Discord. I need to go get insulin, so I'm going to go do that. I will catch people on my Discord. That's where you guys can catch me. And tomorrow we'll have something interesting. I don't know what. Hopefully it'll be something more physical, but who knows? It never is. Thanks for joining me.